All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Because I'm about to show you some polls that are quite literally the worst in U.S. history. That's where Trump is right now. The worst in U.S. history at this point in his term. So we'll talk about that. We also have what's a flat-out emergency, if I'm being honest with you. The Department of Justice is sending federal agents to the midterm polls. This is what they're saying. That is absolutely disturbing. We should not allow this to happen. It's obviously an attempt to do voter intimidation, voter disenfranchisement, and to put their thumb on the scale, which they know they need to do to have any chance whatsoever. So we'll talk about that as well. We also have a secret Zionist conference where they admit their evil plan out loud. You cannot make this stuff up. You have to see this video. I'm telling you, if you see anything from today, you have to see this video. And then also later on, Tim Dillon is not done cooking Trump and cooking MAGA. He has a scathing rebuke of RFK Jr. and the so-called MAGA movement. And also, he's calling out their nonsense with the rigged election or the rigged election talk. No interest in it whatsoever. Thinks they're completely full of shit, and I'll show you that as well. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You guys know the deal, bro. This is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will do those things. I still get emails from advertisers. They're like, hey, would like to talk to you about perhaps making a deal and, getting you some money. And it's like, how little do you know about this show? I literally say every day, I've never talked to an advertiser and I've never done an ad read. What makes you think you're so special? Like, it's not going to happen, okay? So anyway, shout out to all you guys who support the show on Patreon. Link below if you're so inclined to do that. Just $1 a month goes a long way. $2 a month goes a long way. If you want to go nuts, $7 a month goes a long way. You can also tip with that thanks button on YouTube. Shout out to all you who help out the show. Couldn't do it without you. And then also, of course, everybody go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live on Monday nights. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in ski. So, CNN's data guy, Harry Enton, he talked just the other day, 2 days ago, new polling out on Trump. And to say it is catastrophic is the understatement of the century. In other words, exactly what you think is happening with the MAGA movement is exactly what is happening. Let's listen to some of the specifics. Here we go.
Fresh new polling on the president's popularity, but not as far as the president is concerned, fresh like a daisy. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. This doesn't smell good.
No, the cake is getting baked, and what's being baked ain't daisies, I'll tell you that much. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, Trump's not approving. A lot of stuff has happened over the last few months. Has any of that really lifted Trump from record lows for these given pollsters or second record lows? Not really. I mean, just take a look here. The Washington Post, his all-time lowest was minus 25 points back in April in terms of his net approval rating. It's approval minus disapproval. Now it's the second worst, tied for the second worst of all time at minus 24 points. CNBC was at his second lowest level at minus 18 points, and now he's at the record low for him in CNBC, minus 19 points. When you put it together, what essentially is going on is there are a lot of events in the world, but this cake, as we get closer and closer to the midterm elections, is starting to look at least a little bit baked here.
All right. I mean, I suppose you could say if you're Republican, the good news is not getting worse, but you actually need it to be getting better.
Correct.
Now, by the way, that is quite an admission. When he says the cake is getting baked, what that means is there's really no room for him to turn it around. So, stop and think about it. Even if Trump were to pull out of the Middle East, somehow, magically, the Iranians say, all right, whatever, we'll, stop blocking the Strait of Hormuz for you and you can get, oil and gas through there. Even in a scenario like that, there's already been so much chaos, so much mayhem, so much calamity, so much death and destruction that, he rebounds 3 points? And what does that do? You still get your fucking cheeks clapped in the midterms. So, it's getting to the point where it's irreversible. The damage is irreversible. People are going to remember how severely you fucked everything up. And that's the point that he's making. And that's kind of a big deal, that he's run out of room to even attempt to turn it around.
These are horrible numbers, Johnny B.
So put it in historical perspective.
Yeah, just how horrible are these numbers? I mean, it's the worst this century for a president at this point in his second term when you look at an average of the CNBC and Washington Post polls. I mean, we're talking about right here, the average of CNBC and Washington Post, minus 22 points. Barack Obama was underwater, but not anywhere near this level. He was at minus 8. And George W. Bush, in the middle of the Iraq War, when that was going south, he was at minus 20 points. So at this point, Donald John Trump is, in fact, holding the record for the lowest net approval rating for a president in a second term at this point in the second term of any president in the 21st century.
Damn, son. Oh, it's over, bro. It is over. Okay, I need you to understand, guys, I'm 38 years old. I remember when we were at this point in Bush's term, so, like around 2005, 2006, I remember everybody fucking hated him. Everybody hated him. Multiple illegal wars that he put on the credit card, okay? Doing all sorts of conservative Christian garbage, being anti-gay marriage. Like, nobody fucking liked this guy at that point in time. And that's before the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, which hit 2 years later. Okay, then he really imploded at that point. But for Trump to already be lower than George W. Bush at this point in his term is mental. By the way, what happened in 2006? The Republicans got their cheeks clapped, bro. They got absolutely obliterated. They got stomped in the midterm election then. And so with Trump doing worse than Bush was, by the way, Obama -8, not surprising, relatively solid, in modern day standards. But even Biden at this point in his time in office, they don't have the number here. But my recollection is it actually wasn't that bad. Because if you remember, early on, he was actually doing a decent job early on in his time in office and did a bunch of good economic things, for example. He pulled out of Afghanistan, which I thought was awesome, but his polls did go down when he pulled out of Afghanistan. But bottom line is, for the midterms under Biden, the Democrats actually outperformed. So it wasn't the case that it was like, that Biden was as hated as Trump is right now. No, Trump really squandered like all of his goodwill, and he did it like instantly. Like there's nothing you can point to that's like, oh, well, at least that thing is doing good. Well, actually, I stand corrected. Hold on. If they end up doing permanent daylight saving time, I will come out here and give him credit. I will come out here and say, well, we got one thing out of his time in office. But the fact of the matter is, what are we looking at? Oligarchy, fascism, kakistocracy, mobocracy, gerontocracy. It's every negative thing you can think of all rolled up into one. And here we are. You haven't arrested a single Epstein pedophile, but you arrest people who touch the fucking reflecting pool water? What? How many vanity projects are you going to do? How many airports can you put your fucking name on? Okay, how much self-dealing and corruption are you going to get away with? And people are following all of it. They're looking at all of it. And they're also looking at the fucking price at the gas pump. That's what they're really looking at. They're also looking at the grocery prices. That's what they're looking at. And they're not fucking having it right now.
You think that's bad?
And if you think this is bad, what is driving this number? It's independence, baby. It's independence. Look, all time, worst at this point in a second term net.
Oh no, look at the independent numbers. Bush was only -31, Nixon -37, Trump -45. That's outside of the margin of error.
Rating among independents. Donald John Trump, this segment has been about baking. He takes the cake at -45 points among independents, even worse than Richard Milhouse Nixon, who was about to leave office because of Watergate, who had previously held the record at -37 points, and the aforementioned George W. Bush at -31 points. Donald John Trump, the worst ever rating, net approval rating, with independents at this point in a second term.
Barbecue chicken, son. Goddamn. Okay, ready? Got some more. American Research Group poll. This just dropped. President Trump approval rating. Disapprove, 67% skis. 67. 6-7, as the kids would say. Approve, 30%. 30. Motherfucking 30, bro. 30. Now, you might say, okay, well, Kyle, that's among all adults. All adults don't vote. Let's be serious here. It really makes sense to only look at the registered voters, okay? Well, when you do that, what's the result? Exact same disapproval, 37%. And the approval skyrockets to a massive 31%. Goes up all of 1 point. Bro, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you what we're looking at here, dog. Because again, I want to repeat this. We haven't hit rock bottom. He's gonna do something big and stupid when it comes to Iran. He's already been bombing them 11 days in a row. I've warned you over and over and over. Either a ground invasion is coming, or they're gonna take Karg Island or Keshem Island, one of the oil important islands, or they're gonna do some massive bunker buster nuclear attack at Pickaxe Mountain, which is some bullshit that the Israelis made up. Like, oh, that's where they're keeping their nukes. My ass cheeks. They don't know anything. They just want us to fight them and keep the forever war going. That's what the Israelis want. And Trump's an idiot, and he's going right along with it. So he's going to do something big and dumb, okay? Gas prices are going to go up more and more, especially because we're blowing through the strategic reserve, okay? And that means grocery prices go up as well. And we're still in that inflated bubble economy, bro. I know that 80 to 90% of the American public is already feeling like we're living in a recession, but at some point we will be in an actual recession because this AI motherfucking bubble is going to pop. By the way, it's another thing we haven't talked about, but China is now eating our lunch when it comes to AI, and now they don't know how they're going to make it profitable here in the US. The bubble's going to burst, and then what? Then he will, okay, I think I'm going to say it. Yep, I'm going to say it. I think he's going to eclipse George W. Bush as having the lowest approval rating at some point in the rest of his term. When he leaves office or a little before that, he will absolutely be in the 20s. He will absolutely be in the 20s. He'll be, 25% thereabouts. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. He's already bled all of his support. Guys, do you remember the day after the election and people were looking at these exit numbers and they're going, holy shit, Republicans picked up with Hispanics. Republicans picked up with independents. Republicans picked up with young people. This is unheard of. Then fast forward to today, not only did it revert to the mean, it did more than that. We now have, Democrats now even have a higher percentage of Hispanics than they had before. They have more independents than they had before. They have more young people than they had before. They squandered absolutely everything. Everything. So this is a huge deal, okay? But, you ready for this? I'm about to throw a curveball at y'all. Ready for this? So, understand something, guys. Just because he has the lowest approval rating at this point in his time in office in modern history does not mean there's not a particular group of people that doesn't love him to pieces. And you know who I'm talking about? The cult. The cult is culting. In fact, some would say the cult is culting at a historic clip right now. Not kidding. We got another Harry Enten banger here. Trump's own party approval is the highest this century for a president at this point in his second term. You have got to be kidding me. Bush was 78%, Obama 76%, Trump 83%. So here, let me play this video for you, then we'll talk more about it.
21st century own party approval rating, about at this point in the second term. We got Trump, we got Obama, we got Bush. Look, they're all fairly popular, but the one who is the most popular, and we have seen this time in and time out, no matter when you look, is Donald John Trump. He's the only one who's over 80%. 83% of Republicans still approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing as president. He still has that magic touch. We'll see if it carries over to South Carolina, but we've seen it in primaries this year, Senate primaries, and that is because he is still a very popular man, historically popular when it comes to his own party liking and approving of the job that he's doing.
So that's why they're fucked. That's why Republicans are fucked. Because Trump is so popular in the cult that whoever he picks to be the candidate in whatever race ends up getting the nomination. But then, as a general rule, he picks the most psychotic, loyal, sycophantic motherfuckers on the planet. So then they run in a general election and they get obliterated. And they get obliterated because they're absolute freaks. They're absolute losers. They get zero normies to actually support them. And that's what ends up happening. And so understand what's actually at play here. What's at play here is every Democrat in the country is gone. There's no Democrat in this country that supports Donald Trump unless they're named fucking John Fetterman. Okay? People don't know this, but in 2016, Trump got like 10% of Democrats to vote for him when he won the election in 2016. I don't know the numbers for 2024, but I reckon it's roughly thereabouts. Okay? Now, like, no Democrats. It's gone. Done. Over. Okay? Independents, like we just discussed, they are more than gone. They're more gone from him than they've ever been from any other candidate in history at this point. They're just gone. So you have no independents. You have no Democrats. You have no, like, normies or apolitical people left either. Then you also have, there's also this swath of, like, traditional Republicans or, whatever you want to refer to them as, like non-MAGA Republicans. They're fucking gonzo too. So yes, he has the strongest hold on his cult, but the number of people in the Republican Party generally has shrunk and gone down and down. And that's been proven. We talked about that on the show too, that Republicans had a party ID lead in 2024, just after the 2024 election. Whereas today, the Democrats not only have a huge lead with party ID, but like it's even bigger than it was at like the peak of the Obama years, which was like, the highest recorded level that we thought we'd ever hit. But no, here we are. So he squandered absolutely everything. Yes, the cult is culting, but the cult is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So he keeps a high percentage of support within the cult, but the cult is dwindling. The cult is down to 30%, 35%, whatever it may be. It ain't much. It's impressive anybody can do that and brainwash an entire country this thoroughly and this severely, but you're nowhere near the numbers that you need to actually have a governing majority. And then on top of that, think about how this motherfucker ruined everything. Lindsey Graham is dead. Mitch McConnell is probably dead. Then he pissed off Cassidy. He pissed off another Republican in the Senate. So now he can't get shit through. He can't get shit through. And he's trying his best to, to govern by press release and govern by fucking lie social post. But that could only take you so far. So, this shit is crazy, bro. This shit is crazy. But look, to put it in perspective, there is no doubt now. We are looking at a polling collapse. We are looking at the worst numbers in history at this point in his time in office. And they are not reckoning with that at all. They are not trying to fix that at all. There's functionally nothing they can do about it. And now it's all over but the crying and the whining and the bitching and the moaning and the attempt to steal the election, which is what we'll talk about later because the Department of Justice issued something which should terrify all of us.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, here we go. Again, yet another massive MAGA con game that's being run on, all the people who love him. Take a look. 2 political action committees affiliated with Trump paid nearly $8 million in legal bills over the first 6 months of this year. In total, Trump's political committees have spent more than $100 million on legal bills since the 2020 election. So understand what's happening here. All of those, hardcore MAGA supporters who donate a shitload of money to Trump and Republican causes, this is what your money's going towards. This is what it's going to. You think, I'm giving my money to make America great again, man. No, what it's actually going for is this motherfucker paying his legal bills because he can't go 3.5 minutes without committing a new crime. Okay, charged with 91 crimes, 34-time convicted felon, found liable for tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud and sexual assault and all sorts of stuff. And so this is what the money's going towards. All right, here we go. MS Now says Trump's PAC spend millions on legal bills as his personal court battles continue. President Trump's political committees have spent more than $100 million on legal bills since the 2020 election. By the way, let me pause to point out, isn't it bizarre how few people talked about the fact that the president literally had to pay out, $5 million, $6 million to E. Jean Carroll because he raped her? Isn't that crazy? That happened and nobody really talked about it. Can you imagine it was Barack Obama who had to pay out $6 million to somebody because he raped them? What would the reaction be across this country? What would it be in conservative media? What would it be from politicians? What would it be across this country? I think we all know what it would be. Well, with Trump, it barely even got fucking mentioned. So what happened was he appealed it all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court threw it out, which meant the lower court ruling was upheld, which meant he had to fucking pay, and he ended up doing it. So E. Jean Carroll got paid. She got paid because she got graped by Trump in a department store, what was it, in the 80s and the 90s? And there was this big kerfuffle about it. Remember, Trump sued a journalist for calling it grape. Now, the way that works, by the way, is in New York, I think it's technically considered grape. But in other states, it would be sexual assault. But he literally, against her will, inserted his fingers into her vagina. He, finger banged her against her will. So some states might be considered grape. Some states might be considered sexual assault. But the bottom line is, that's fucking disgusting, and that's criminal, and now we know that he had to pay out for that, and it's a matter of record now, mind you. So, but again, crazy how that's not even talked about. The president is a rapist, not even mentioned, right? Okay, let's continue here. So they say 2 political action committees affiliated with President Donald Trump pay nearly $8 million in legal bills over the first 6 months of this year, paying law firms that have been defending him in personal and political court fights that have trailed him through 18 months of his second term. Save America and Make America Great Again PAC also reported about $5 million still owed to law firms, according to their latest disclosure filings. Since Trump returned to the White House last year, several of his high-profile court battles have slowed down, and so has his political committee's legal spending. But many of the cases have not gone away completely, still costing the president millions in legal bills. This week, $5.6 million in damages and interest paid by Trump was transferred to writer E. Jean Carroll 3 years after a jury found him liable for sexually abusing her in 1996 and later for defaming her on social media. Also this week, a federal judge lambasted Trump's settlement with the IRS as the product of collusive backroom dealings, and Trump is still appealing his conviction on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to conceal a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 campaign. According to the latest campaign finance disclosures, the biggest chunk of Trump-affiliated PAC's legal bills in the first half of this year went to Sullivan & Cromwell LLP, a law firm that has represented Trump in his appeal of the hush money case. The firm, which has also reportedly been engaged to handle Trump's ongoing appeal of Carroll's $83.3 million verdict over additional defamation cases has been paid at least $2.3 million by Save America, disclosures show. Two other firms have been involved in the E. Jean Carroll cases. Haba Madeo and Associates LLP and James Otis Law Group were paid $198,500 and $92,800 respectively so far this year, according to the filings. Brito PLLC and Epstein & Co. Oh no. Pick a different lawyer, dog. What the fuck? Which represent Trump in the IRS lawsuit, have been paid $324,000 by Save America and are owed another $180,000. The committee also paid roughly $295,000 to Weber, Crabb, and Wine PA. He's using every fucking law firm in the country, which represents Trump in his lawsuit against the Pulitzer Prize Board. Oh my days. Make America Great Again PAC, formerly Trump's 2024 campaign committee, paid $1.5 million to Campbell, Killen, Britton, and Ray, which is defending Trump in the former presidential campaign against a defamation suit brought by Dominion Voting Systems, because he keeps lying about the election. The PAC owes the firm an additional $924,600 its filing show. MAGA PAC has also been paying hefty sums to firms defending him and his former campaign in various election-related legal battles. This guy is so fucking out of control, dog. MS Now has reached out to Save America PAC and Make America Great Again PAC for comment. For both Save America PAC and Make America Great Again PAC, which raise money primarily from a small dollar online donors, legal expenses have been their single largest cost over the past years. Save America, created after the 2020 election, has been the main vehicle for those bills, paying more than $100 million in legal fees since. And remember what else these PACs do. There's been a lot of exposés on this. I'm sure you've seen it, where they use this like very, very immoral, unethical practice of like, they default to clicking recurring payment if you go and you donate to these PACs. And people don't realize it. They think they're doing a one-time payment of $100 or whatever it is. They actually accidentally clicked recurring payment because it's automatically on. And then every month it hits them $100, $100. And often what happens with MAGA, you're dealing with a lot of like geriatric, senior citizen, fucking boomer, silent generation, not all that tech savvy. So they donate the money. And there's been examples of people who go flat out bankrupt because they basically got shook down for all their money by this MAGA PAC that keeps, taking out of their account. They're living on fucking Social Security, no money, nothing saved, barely getting by, and MAGA is robbing them blind. And what's that money going towards? Fucking lawyers, because this motherfucker can't stop committing crimes. This is insane, dog. This is insane. So this is what, honestly, let's call it what it is. The most successful con man in human history. That's what he is. Trump is the most successful con man in human history. He's been a scam artist from motherfucking day one. And he still was able to con his way into the White House multiple times. Bro, the Trump family can't operate a charity in New York State because they stole from a children's cancer charity. That, like, strike one, you're out. I don't need to hear anything else about you. You're a massive piece of dookie, dog. Like, that's what that is. So, when you mix that with all the other scams they ran, Trump didn't pay plumbers and electricians and all sorts of people who built his casinos and built his hotels. We're talking like an old school dirty style criminal, man. Like, that's what that is. And all that stuff, and he still conned his way into the White House. Had a scam university, and he still got his way into the White House. Like, any one of those things would have taken out anybody else, but not him, because his people want to be lied to, clearly. Now, what did this remind me of? This reminded me of this. Do you guys remember this story? From 2022. House January 6th panel says Trump raised millions for a non-existent election defense fund. So, 100 million DZACs robbed from MAGA and, used for his legal bills. They didn't think it was going towards that. That's what it was going towards. Okay. And listen to this. NPR's Rachel Martin talks to Richard Painter, a George W. Bush White House ethics lawyer, about ex-President Trump's use of lies about the 2020 election outcome to raise $250 million from supporters. $250 million. The House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol says former President Trump knowingly peddled lies about the 2020 election outcome in order to raise millions of dollars from his supporters. The committee says Trump took in $250 million that he promised would go to an official election defense fund, a fund that did not exist. Let me repeat that. He raised $250 million for a fund that did not exist. Instead, the lawmakers say the money went to a political action committee that passed along millions to pro-Trump organizations. They call it the big ripoff. So we have the $100 million he stole from MAGA for his legal bills recently, and we have the original $250 million he stole from supporters, which he said would go to fight the rigged election, and it didn't. Bypass that. He, doled it out to whoever he wanted to dole it out to. I'm sure he took a big chunk himself, because this is who he is. This is what he does. This is just like his fucking crypto scam. He crypto scammed his own supporters, dog. Melania crypto scammed the MAGA supporters. Melania had a crypto coin. She still has a crypto coin. Do you not understand the world historic criminality we're dealing with here? Could you imagine if Barack Obama, a couple days before his inauguration, launched a fucking crypto coin? People would say, are you kidding me? What a sick joke. Trump doesn't, nobody bats an eyelash. We go, yeah, that's Trump. He does shit like that. Oh, what do you mean? Commits a crime every day, seemingly? Because that's true. He does do that. And he should be in prison. He should be in prison. So, I don't know, man. It is so crazy to see this stuff. It's so crazy to talk about this stuff. But $100 million robbed on top of $250 million robbed from MAGA. And again, they're the ones who got robbed with his crypto coins too. So, at this point, look, if you're still in MAGA, you are a mark. Like, you want to be taken advantage of. There's no other conclusion. You're being warned up front, not just by me, but by fucking countless people telling you the exact same thing. He's robbing you. He's conning you. He's a scam artist. This is bullshit. It's not going to what you think it's going to. He's not delivering on the promises he said he would deliver on. Over and over, you're told over and over and over and over. If you're still riding for him after all that, like, you have a humiliation kink. You have a humiliation fetish. And you simply like being lied to, you like being taken advantage of. And at that point, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I no longer feel bad for you. If you're given all the information and you still go the wrong way, that seems like a you thing, not a me thing. So, but everybody with a brain, wake up, run away as fast as you can, because we've never seen a con this big, this severe, honestly, in our history.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So yet again, Trump may be out over his skis here. Take a look at this. A Miami federal magistrate judge has ruled that Trump must turn over his records of his multi-billion-dollar trust to the BCC, even though the president's attorneys amended the complaint to no longer seek damages in an attempt to bypass disclosure. So let me break this down more for you here. Got an article in Alternate. Judge demand Trump surrender his financial records. On Tuesday, a federal judge ruled that President Trump must surrender detailed financial documents relating to his defamation lawsuit against the BBC. Okay, according to Politico, U.S. Magistrate Judge Angelique Lett concluded that Trump's sweeping complaint put injury to his businesses at the forefront and made their vitality a fair subject for the BBC to demand information about. All of President Trump's brand, properties, and businesses are impugned or said to have been impugned. Reputational, economic damages, all of that is now at issue in this case, Lett said at the conclusion of a 3-hour hearing. As Politico reports, her decision opened the door for the BBC to explore the finances of more than 400 companies owned by a Trump family trust. But Trump can appeal the ruling to U.S. District Court Judge Roy Altman, a Trump appointee. Oh, well, isn't that fucking cute? Isn't that adorable? Quote, Trump's attorney declined to comment on whether or not the president would appeal. Oh yeah, gee, I wonder. Trump's lawyers had tried to head off the ruling by backing away from some of his initial damage claims, giving up on assertions that the 2024 BBC documentary had caused him economic injuries and diminished the value of his companies, explains Politico. Brito told Lett the president's approach to the case has evolved, and he is now pursuing only damage to his reputation, not his businesses, as a result of how the BBC spliced together portions of Trump's January 6th, 2021 speech. Trump contends that the edit made it sound like he called for violence when he did not. Oh, yeah. No, he thought everybody was getting together for a picnic. He thought they were going to sit back, have some apple cider, maybe have some hot dogs. He didn't think... Remember when he posted... It was like a week or two before the event, maybe even a month before. And he's like, you gotta come. It'll be a wild time. We'll have a wild time. And he went to give a speech, and the whole point of the speech was to say, it's bullshit. The election was stolen from me. It shouldn't be Biden getting, inaugurated. They did the fake elector slate, which of course was an attempt for Trump to stay in power. They were making calls to senators saying, don't approve Biden as president. And they did that after all of the violence on January 6th. So the idea, they didn't like it or they were against it or whatever, nonsense. Are you kidding me? He slow rolled even commenting on it, right? And then again, he tried to stay in power, even though, Like, that was the goal of the violence, is to try to get him to stay in power. If he was so against the violence, then why did he try to ride the wave of the fucking violence? I mean, it's a sick joke. And I know the documentary they're talking about, and I know the clip they're talking about, and he doesn't like that there's an interpretation of that, which is like a call for violence, right? Like, he doesn't like that. He used one line where he said, peacefully and patriotically march to Congress to, like, make your voices heard, right? But then other parts in the speech, he's talking about, we need to fight. We need to fight like hell. We need to fight. At one point, he targeted specific people. Like, he called out Mike Pence. At the same time, you had people chanting to hang Mike Pence, and they literally brought a noose for Mike Pence because Trump was pissed at Pence because Pence didn't feed into his bullshit and didn't try to veto the election single-handedly by himself. Okay? Trump also reportedly knew people had weapons, let them in. He said, those weapons are not for me. And then he said, knowing the people had weapons, he said, go ahead, let's march to Congress. So he plays fucking coy. He does both. He speaks out of both sides of his mouth, right? And he knows what the implication is because he was trying to stay in office. So anyway, BBC sues him over that shit. Or he sues BBC over that shit. And, now he's fucking hitting a brick wall. His face is hitting a brick wall because he didn't realize, oh shit, we're gonna have to go to discovery and I'm gonna have to prove damages. Prove that this, like, hurt me in some way, shape, or form. Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's a day that ends in Y when people correctly say you were trying to steal the election and you're suing them over it because they played a clip of you saying things that were, that implied violence. Get the fuck out of here. They say Brito told the court the damages are limited in a way that is different from when the case was originally filed. Even if there had been a harm to the brand, we are not pursuing that as part of our damages. It's a far more narrow scope of what this case is about. Oh, interesting. So when you actually had to disclose your finances, now all of a sudden, did I say businesses were hurt, bro? I didn't mean that. I meant, like, my feelings were hurt and stuff. In the end, the judge declared that she lacked the power to drop the business element from the complaint. As Politico notes, the hearing could serve as a reminder to Trump that the headline-grabbing lawsuits he's fond of filing against media outlets are a two-way street, giving the press added leverage to try to pry into his business dealings and controversial episodes he might prefer to consign to history. This comes as one of several legal setbacks that have hit Trump recently. In June, Trump's lawsuit against the BBC received a major bench slap when a judge censured his legal team for missing a deadline. In April, a judge threw out his lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal, calling it groundless. And last year, yet another suit, this one against CNN, was dismissed as meritless. Trump has also encountered legal troubles beyond these attacks on the First Amendment. Last week, a judge issued yet another slapdown of Trump's slush fund for January 6ers. The following day, a judge warned Trump's attorneys for using fake citations generated by AI. At the same time, his case against an Olympian charged with vandalizing the reflecting pool appeared to implode due to contradictory evidence submitted by White House lawyers. We're seeing this all over the Trump regime, by the way. You used to have like a 100% conviction rate for the feds when it came to ICE cases. Now that collapsed to like 50% because they're charging everybody. They assault people, and then the feds charge the person that was assaulted with assault of the ICE officer. That's what's been going on. So all of their cases have fucking imploded. Trump himself has blown off 57 different court orders, and that was as of last July. So now it's got to be more than that. But like, yes, this strategy of like, slap lawsuits all over the place, and like he's inventing new kinds of slap lawsuits because it's not just over speech stuff. He's done it over 1,000 different things. Well, it's backfiring. Like the goal is to put people through hell, but at the same time, if it actually gets to court, he ends up losing time after time after time. And we all know the reason why he wanted to back out of this shit, U-turn out this bitch, is because if he had to show everything about his businesses, oh my days, it would be a fucking field day out there, dog. Because think about what we already know about his finances, about the billions of dollars he's made in office. Trump and his cronies, they've allegedly made $9 billion just off of insider trading, just off of his illegal war. Think about that. That's to say nothing of the probably billions they made on the insider trading from his tariff bullshit, his trade war nonsense, right? Think about just what we know. I mean, it is mind-boggling the amount of criminality, and that's why he's trying to back out of it, is because the second you get into the specifics of his finances, oh my days, we're going to see he would make a mob boss blush with the criminality of his finances. You know, this is probably world historic levels of corruption, the likes of which we've never seen, and stuff that, you know, even given everything I know, would probably fucking blow my socks off, right? Because what do we know? What we know is, you know, he's sued the IRS for money and then tried to take it and give it to his cronies, the $1.776 billion, which thankfully fell apart and was blocked by a court. But that's one of so many schemes, and many of them he's gotten away with. Remember the $10 billion he took for his Board of Peace, which is supposed to be above the UN, which they were going to use that to fucking loot and pillage Gaza and steal Gaza. Well, he took $10 billion from U.S. taxpayers. He's got it in a slush fund. Only he controls it. Only he controls it. Venezuela. He's now made billions of dollars off Venezuelan oil. He's got it in a bank account in Qatar that only he controls. He's basically stolen the sovereign wealth of a country. This is out of this world. We've never seen anything like this. The crypto coins, the scams. He's done a number of crypto scams. Him and Melania ran it on his own supporters. You know, and this is like the elementary level corruption shit that we're talking about here. Never mind, you know, the pay for pardons. That's a big deal. Never mind the Bitcoin mining operation and the executive branch club that his kids did, and the international fucking resorts and hotels and golf courses. I mean, this is all stuff that violates the emoluments clause. That in and of itself is an impeachable offense. The Trump Jr. backed company, Vulcan Earth, that they took $620 million from the government, from the Office of Strategic Capital. That's Trump's government giving his own son, a company he's with, $620 million. What a sick fucking joke. The Live Golf money. I mean, look, if we dig deep enough, I have no doubt he's probably taken hundreds of millions, billions of dollars from various dictators directly. He's probably direct money from Mohammed bin Salman, direct money from fucking Putin. I wouldn't be surprised if he took money from the new leader of Syria, who was a high-ranking official in Al-Qaeda. Trump is probably getting directly fucking paid by Al-Qaeda, okay? This is why he's like, oh shit, well, I'm not gonna, no, did I say I was gonna sue you? I mean, I'm gonna sue you, but it's gonna be more narrow. It's not gonna be about my businesses being hurt, because we don't want to show the business stuff. So, you know, whatever, it is what it is. Remember, guys, he tried to make it so he can never get audited again. Not just him, but his entire fucking family. His shitty fucking stepson, Jared Kushner, is the new Jeffrey Epstein. He tried to buy an island off the coast of, what was it? It wasn't Armenia. Albania, I think it was. And it was going to be a private island, shocker, that they're going to make this luxury place. We're talking about the new Jeffrey Epstein type shit here. The extent of the criminality of this family would shock the most grizzled veteran to their core. Okay? Somebody who is just, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just going to leave it there. You get the point. It is insanity. So shout out to the BBC for firing back and trying to get this stuff released. And literally, the fact that Trump panicked and tried to narrow the scope of it, that says everything. Because that means if people really knew, by the way, it might be one of those things where it's like he's now worth like $100 billion. Like the actual amount he's worth, I think in theory, he's worth like $9 billion or $10 billion, which is like, you know, more than double what he was before he became president this second time. But I like the actual number might be 50 billion, 100 billion. And that's going to make everybody go, well, what the fuck? Where's all that coming from? Like, again, I cannot describe to you just how open for business he is, just how dirty he is. I mean, this guy, he makes Tony Soprano look like a fucking choir boy. That's where we're at with this regime.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, I take no joy in saying this, but we are beyond fucked. I mean, this is dark in so many ways. So let me start with this. I think I touched on this the other day, but look at this timeline when it comes to the diarrhea lettuce, okay? March 2025, Taylor Farms contributes $1 million to the Make America Great Again, Inc. Days after the FDA delays the food traceability rule, the FDA informs Taylor Farms that one of its iceberg lettuce products tested positive for cyclospora, prompting a voluntary recall. During the cyclospora outbreak, the New York Times reports Taylor Farms hires a former Trump White House official. Last week, Taylor Farms executives meet with the White House and FDA officials, where the company challenges aspects of the government's outbreak conclusions, according to the New York Times. And then now, Taylor Farms says The FDA apologized to them, calling the positive test a false positive and stating no Taylor Farms products has tested positive for cyclospora. To say this as simply as possible, Taylor Farms uses shit water on their products, causes a cyclospora outbreak, an explosive watery diarrhea outbreak. The FDA, after the fact, because they've been stripped down like a motherfucker, there's next to nobody working there, but after the fact, we finally found the source of it. This was the source. There you go. It used to be, hey, we'll catch this stuff before it happens. That's what it used to be. Now, all of a sudden, it's not that. Now, all of a sudden, it's after you get sick and after it rips through the country, maybe we'll let you know the source of it without doing much about it. So anyway, that happens. And then Trump realizes, oh shit, these guys paid $1 million to make America Great Again, Inc. So I got to let them save face. So they release a statement going, oh, turns out the FDA, bro, the FDA was actually wrong. It wasn't us. We didn't even fuck up at all, dog. I don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't our stuff. Our stuff is good and healthy, and don't even worry about that. So they released that statement. So do you see what happened here? Not only did Trump and Elon Musk and Russ Vought and all these demons totally destroy our regulatory structures where now you're just going to get sick more often from more shit, but even if they do their job properly after the fact and say, oh, here's where it came from, okay? Because of political corruption, they're just going to lie about it, wipe the record clean, and as long as you paid your bribes, you don't have to adjust anything, you don't have to change anything, you could keep, using shit water on top of your fucking lettuce or whatever the fuck, and you're fine. This is where we're at, y'all. This is the degree of corruption that we're dealing with here. It's astonishing. We never should have had this fucking outbreak in the first place. In the same way that we never should have had the screwworm outbreak, which is destroying our beef industry. In the same way that we never should have cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels and the National Weather Service. They are actively trying to destroy everything our government does that is good, everything our government does that functions. They're trying to destroy it. And now we can't even stop an outbreak before it occurs. And after the outbreak occurs, now we can't even get a straight answer because the government is covering for the companies that bribe them. That's what this is. It's astonishing, bro. It's astonishing. Okay, look at this. The following diseases have surged as RFK Jr. and Trump have cut public health and pushed vaccine disinformation. Measles, the flu, rotavirus, whooping cough, Ebola, hantavirus, cyclosporiasis, E. coli, campylobacteriosis, listeria, cryptosporidiosis, and infant botulism. All of those things have surged because we're dealing with a goofy junk science believer who is in control of Health and Human Services. Okay? We're dealing with a guy who limited access to the COVID vaccine, put vaccine skeptics on the vaccine advisory panel, fired the CDC director after a month because they wouldn't go along with his junk science, fired over 1,000 people at the Epidemic Intelligence Service, which makes it harder to contain the next epidemic, ended our support for the global vaccine program, helped kick millions off Medicaid, canceled the flu vaccine campaign, is linking antidepressants to violence, released a fake made-up MAGA report with ChatGPT bullshit in it. He told Bernie Sanders that healthcare isn't a right, even though he's the head of Health and Human Services. And of course, don't even get me started on the bathing in sewage and cutting off raccoon dicks and beheading a fucking whale and Jesus Christ. But this is what's happened under Trump. This is what's happened under RFK. Even basic educational shit, basic scientific and medical shit, out the window now. Out the window. He was telling people, what was it? There was some illness. He was telling people to take vitamin A for it. And you had doctors were like, that's not a fucking treatment for it. What is wrong with you? This is where we are now. So, y'all better watch out because there's going to be some ancient-ass illnesses that are going to come back, son. There's going to be some shit we haven't heard of since the motherfucking 1630s in this bitch. It's going to happen any day now. Any day now because we're dealing with the biggest fucking idiots in the country who are in way over their head. Okay, how about this one? Trump plans to dramatically raise the cost of imported generic medications for Americans. A 100% import tax starting August 1st, then 200% starting August 1st, 2029. That is insane. So he literally posts here, Effective August 1st, 2026, all generic drugs being brought into the United States will continue to have a tariff of 0% for a 2-year period of time, after which the tariff will be raised to 100% for a 1-year period of time and 200% thereafter. This is done in order to reshore generic pharmaceutical production in America. Here's what's not going to happen. There is a 0% chance that happens because Trump is too fucking stupid to realize the way the real world works is if you're going to do tariffs and they're specific and they're targeted, you need to marry that with industrial policy to incentivize actually building here in America. If you really want Made in America, you have to fund Made in America. You need to subsidize Made in America. You need an actual industrial policy like Joe Biden, who created over 700,000 manufacturing jobs in this country for chips and other things. Okay? They don't understand that part of it. They just think, oh, if I just tariff them, then everything will work out. Or it won't. And it hasn't. Trump's lost 75,000 manufacturing jobs in his second term, on top of the hundreds of thousands he killed that were Biden manufacturing jobs, on top of losing 200,000 manufacturing jobs in his first term. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He wages a trade war and thinks like, oh yeah, people will come back and start building shit here. Why would they do that? Now, even to build a factory, you need to bring in tariffed goods to build the factory. So you can't even afford to build a factory in the first place. They're not going to do that. There's no like manufacturing boom in this country. He's lying about that. And so what's the end effect of this? It's just going to increase generic drug prices. That's it. He's just going to raise your drug prices. At a time we already have unaffordability of drugs, he's going to raise your drug prices. That's what he's doing here. By the way, this is on top of, and you all remember this, right? If you watched the show for a long time, Trump signed an executive order his first day in office, which repealed a Biden executive order that decreased drug prices. So Trump, on his first day in office, raised drug prices, and now here he's saying, let's raise generic drug prices even more. At a time when everybody's struggling, at a time when Trump is self-dealing like nobody's fucking business, at a time when they're not arresting any Epstein pedophiles, at a time when they're waging multiple illegal wars, bombing schools, he comes out and goes, what if I also raise drug prices? Wouldn't you guys like that? I'm also going to raise drug prices. It's like this man is from hell. He's from hell. How about this one? Breaking, President Trump imposes 50% tariff on a range of Canadian goods, claiming unfair treatment over U.S. autos, alcohol, and cheese. So this is one of the things about Republicans that makes me want to shove my nuts in a waffle iron, makes me want to put a pineapple in my dick hole. How many times have we won these battles and then they just like restart it as if we didn't get an answer on it, right? Like this went through the court process. This went to the fucking Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, go fuck yourself. You can't just unilaterally slap tariffs on shit. That's not how it works. Okay, so the Supreme Court says that. Trump goes, okay, bet. And then he turns around and goes, I'm doing new tariffs. They just said you can't do fucking tariffs. They're out here doing new tariffs. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? This happens all the time. It's like prayer in school. How many times have we won that battle through the courts? Under the Constitution, we cannot have prayer in school. You cannot like force a religion on everybody, right? Goes through the court system. We win on that. Then like every other year, some new red state is like, we're going to do prayer in school. Why are we refighting battles that we won in like the fucking early 1900s? Why are we doing that? Why is that happening? Please, somebody fucking pinch me and wake me up from this nightmare that I live in, where it's like Groundhog's Day, but all for like the worst people doing the worst shit and always feeling like they came up with some original, amazing idea that's never been tried before. It's been tried, it sucks, and also it was slapped down because it's fucking illegal. How about this one? Personal bankruptcy filings in the U.S. are up 47% since 2022. 47% since 2022. That's great. That's good. Fascinating Wall Street Journal story showing that many boomers are not only not downsizing their homes, they're instead upsizing and getting larger ones. Empty nest baby boomers own 28% of U.S. homes with 3 bedrooms compared with 16% for millennials with children. That's awesome. That's really great. It's really great that one generation seemingly has all the wealth and everybody else is struggling and they don't care, and they're only making it worse as time goes by. As of July 19th update, the Nino 3.4 sea surface temperature is now more than 3.7 standard deviations above the 1991 to 2020 mean. With the warming just getting started, this El Nino is still in uncharted territory, but just barely. So this is what that looks like, bro. Here's what that looks like in chart form. How does that look to you? So, you have experts who've been warning about a super El Nino, which could lead to drought, which could lead to famine. It's a very serious thing here. Last time we had anything remotely close to this was like in the late 1800s, and it led to drought and famine. But here's the sea surface temperature. That's where it is. See that red line? That's where it is. Yeah, that's called Fucksville. That's what that is. That's called we're Dunzo. That's what that is. So again, I don't know. It's so insane to see climate apocalypse emerge in real life and evidence of it all around, and still being led by the dumbest people on the planet that only want to make it worse, that only want to double down and triple down and quadruple down on fossil fuels and dirty energy and not do any green and renewable technology. And like it's like seeing the car being invented and then you're like, oh, I'm going to double down on the horse and buggy. It's like seeing the invention of the telephone and going, no, I'm good with Morse code. Like, that's what we are. That's what Trump is doing. That's how fucking dumb he is. And turning all the profits over to China and other countries, all the inevitable patents that are the technologies of the future all go to them. We're just in a previous era now. We're just in a previous era. These people are totally ill-equipped for dealing with modern society, and it shows so clearly. Look at this one. Power blackouts are spreading across parts of North Africa as temperatures soar above 40 degrees Celsius. This is why extreme heat is so dangerous. When the grid fails, millions can lose air conditioning, refrigeration, and water pumping. Climate change is becoming an infrastructure crisis. Losing power at that temperature is just death. Like, it's just deadly. Like, you can die, and you can die pretty quickly, especially if you're really old or really young. We're hitting what's called the wet bulb temperature more often now, and the wet bulb temperature is where no human can really survive it because you can't actually shed the heat from your body with your sweat. And this is something that's now, it's a more common occurrence, and I don't think people realize, like, when you get these long stretches of heat waves, you are stressing the grid so thoroughly that you're flirting with blackouts. There's going to happen one time where it's so bad and there's such a long blackout and you just have like thousands of people pass away from the heat. That's going to happen. It's going to happen, and people act like that's not a thing that happens. It is very, very bizarre. Trump's rampage goes on. His administration is opening up hundreds of thousands of hitherto protected square miles of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans to commercial fishing. That's great. How about this? The Interior Department has canceled a rule meant to protect plants and animals that are determined to be threatened with extinction. The latest step by the Trump administration to dismantle key provisions of the landmark Endangered Species Act at the behest of industry. So, as you all know, because you watch this show, Trump has done everything he can to destroy the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. Trump has, I believe they've rolled back 117 different environmental protections, and that's an outdated figure. It's probably more than that now. And now they're also going after the Endangered Species Act. Oh my days. Also, they're allowing, I think the Supreme Court was allowing coal ash to be dumped in drinking water. They increased the use of glyphosate, which is going to give all of us cancer at a younger age, right? And yeah, get it. Is there anything more comic book evil than, yeah, we're gonna dismantle key provisions of the Endangered Species Act? I mean, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? How about this one? Justin, Arkansas mayor's brother, identified as the winner of the $1.8 billion, is that Powerball jackpot? I'm sure there's nothing sketchy, creepy, weird there. I'm sure that's all on the up and up, right? For sure. And then this reminded, Roy Drones pointed out here, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. And then he pointed to the fact that Jeffrey Epstein won the lotto multiple different times. And so, yeah, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. The corruption is so extreme, it's so over the top, it's so in your face. The Epstein class is flaunting it. They're rubbing it in. They're robbing us blind. Everybody else is, hanging on by a thread, and they're looting and pillaging and plundering and running out the back door with all the money, building their fucking doomsday bunkers, stealing the lotto money. I mean, I'm going to title this video something like "We Live in Hell" or "We're Fucked" or "We're Totally Fucked," because how else can you describe everything I just ran through for you? And this is just a little sampling, bro. This is all shit I saw within like a day or two, okay? And I could do a segment like this all the time, and you'll be banging your head against the wall. This shit is real as a heart attack, and it's not getting better.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So this story right here, as far as I'm concerned, is a red alert story. This should be a wake-up call. This should be a slap across the face. It doesn't get more clear than this when it comes to the intentions of the Trump regime. So take a look. CBS News, the Department of Justice announces they are sending federal agents to monitor polling sites in 3 Arizona counties for the midterm elections. And they say it's Maricopa County, Apache County, and Pima County. So here's what it says. Justice Department announces monitoring of polling sites in 3 Arizona counties. Today, the Department of Justice is monitoring polling sites in 3 Arizona counties for the state's primary election to ensure transparency, ballot security, and compliance with federal law. The department, through the Civil Rights Division, enforces federal voting rights laws that protect the rights of all eligible citizens to access the ballot. The department regularly deploys its staff to monitor for compliance with federal civil rights laws in elections in communities across the country. The Department of Justice today continues to monitor elections consistently and in a uniform fashion nationwide, ensuring our elections are safe and secure, said Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Transparent election processes and election monitoring are critical tools for safeguarding our elections and ensuring public trust in the integrity of our elections. We appreciate Arizona's cooperation in these important procedural safeguards. Ladies and gentlemen, yet another dry run. Yet another dry run for what's coming for the midterms. Yet another dry run for what's coming for 2028. They are preparing. They're all in. There's no doubt about it. So add it to the list, right? So what else have they done? They seized ballots in Georgia. They also in Fulton County, Georgia. They also seized some ballots from Arizona. Okay, Trump did an executive order to try to force the turning over of the voting machines to the feds, force the states to give that stuff to the feds. He tried to demand that they give them their voter rolls. He tried to ban mail-in voting through executive action and through the SAVE Act, which they haven't been able to pass, but they're trying to pass. Okay. They're doing ballot purging and ballot spoiling. There's been threats to send the National Guard or ICE to seize ballots on Election Day. And of course, as part of this plot, Trump has blamed Maduro for stealing the 2020 election, said Iran stole the 2020 election, said China interfered in the election. This is what he said in a speech the other night. This is unprecedented. And again, I want to reiterate, this is a man fundamentally incapable of holding an L. So when he gets delivered a big fat L on election night, do you think he's going to sit there and take it? There's a 0% chance. That's exactly what this is. They're trying to give themselves an insurance policy. This government sending federal agents to polling places for the midterms. They did it here as a dry run for the primary. When they do it for the midterms, what do you think the purpose of those people is going to be? Harmeet Dillon is a fucking psychopath, just so you know that. She is. Total Trump sycophant, total conspiracy theorist. They're going to do exactly what you think they're going to do. Their job is going to be voter disenfranchisement. Their job is going to be voter intimidation. They are going to, go out. If you have brown skin and you're going to vote, get ready. You're going to get fucking harassed. That's what's going to happen. This is what's terrifying about this is I don't know how many more ways they could broadcast to you that we're going to interfere. We're going to fuck shit up. We're going to cause a problem. We're going to put our thumb on the scale. We're going to make a big stink. They keep they wouldn't have seized the ballots from Georgia, Fulton County, Georgia. They wouldn't have seized the ballots from Arizona if they weren't all in on this shit. It doesn't matter to Trump, that he lost 60 fucking court cases on this shit at the time. It doesn't matter that there was an Arizona audit and they ended up, not only was the count acceptable and correct because Biden won, but Biden actually won by more than what we thought he won by on Election Day. His vote total went up when they did the recount, when they did the audit of Arizona. So in every way, this thing has been proven to be fraudulent. Trump's claims have been proven to be fraudulent, and they don't care. They're still laying the groundwork for exactly what you think they're going to do. And I'm terrified, bro. I'm terrified of this. And I don't know why more people aren't talking about it when they're sending election monitors. Again, all these things that they're doing now are things they will do during the midterms. It's going to happen during the midterms as well. So when you have election monitors, when you have ICE sent in, when you have the National Guard sent in, Democrats need to be ready. You need Democrats. I think what should have happened is you should have had Katie Hobbs, the Arizona governor, who's a Democrat, should have sent the state police to the ballots to prevent these fucking election monitors from doing anything fucked up. I think the police should have been sent on the side of the people to prevent them from being harassed, to prevent them from being pestered, because we need to be ready too. They're preparing to do all sorts of fucked up shit. We need to be prepared to try to prevent them from fucking shit up. Because again, as soon as you, the chain of custody of the ballots, as soon as that's fucked up, the integrity of the election is cooked. And I absolutely could see Trump seizing certain ballots, right, and then claiming fraud. I mean, that's allegedly what's going on now is the FBI is working overtime to try to find a way to cook up a fraudulent election narrative. I mean, one of the things people have been talking about is the Trump regime talking to Maduro, who they kidnapped and is in solitary confinement 23 hours a day, losing his fucking mind. They're trying to get him to admit, oh yeah, I stole the election in 2020 for Joe Biden. They're trying to make him do that. And to use that as a pretext for, see, this is what, sorry, we got to federalize elections, bro. We got to keep the vote count honest. And by that, I mean, we need to steal it for ourselves. Like this is what this is all pointing to. And so everybody needs to be aware of this. The only thing that could seemingly save us from not having to deal with this fucking further collapse of our democracy is if Trump's health ultimately fails him, which, it's possible that happens, but I don't want to have to rely on that. So, I highly recommend everybody go follow Democracy Docket. They do a great job on this. Mark Elias is an attorney who's fought these guys in court, and he's won. And he gives a lot of updates all the time about these election rigging plots from the right. But this is a big deal, bro. This is a big deal. Sending these federal agents to monitor polling sites. These are the least trustworthy people in the world. The same fucking people. Kash Patel runs the fucking FBI. I don't trust the FBI at all. Look at the fucking psychopaths in ICE. I don't trust them at all. When you say the feds are coming, it's like, Jesus, oh, you mean the worst of the worst? You mean the fascist thugs? You mean the incompetent idiots and buffoons? That's the other thing. If we get saved at all in this scenario, it's just because we're dealing with the dumbest people on the planet. That would be why, right? Just because they're so fucking stupid, that would be why. So anyway, there you have it. Prepare yourselves. Don't say you weren't warned. I try to come out here as much as I can on this show, and I try to warn all of you. One day after the next. Every little piece of evidence I see that they're laying the groundwork to try to steal the elections, I try to come out here, I try to warn you immediately because I don't see many other people doing that shit, and it's super important, it needs to be done, and we know they're working on all sorts of nefarious shit. People could shove their head in the sand and pretend like they're not doing that, or they can be honest and acknowledge it and prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, I got to show you this here, man. This shit is crazy, man. I'm always amazed when people say the quiet part out loud and they accidentally tell the truth. That is always a shocking thing to me. In this instance, what we're looking at is a secret Zionist conference where they're admitting their evil plan out loud, okay? So Chris Menahan says, quote, I came up with this idea due to Al Capone. Zionists in Israel are openly plotting to criminalize anti-Semitic speech, anti-Semitic in quotes, as a way to throw their political opposition in jail. Kenneth S. Abramowitz, formerly of the Carlyle Group, tells the 2026 Pulse of Israel conference that Jews are, quote, still fighting the Amalekite war. Remember when they bring up Amalek, that means kill all of them. Kill their women, kill their children, kill their pets. That's what that is. That's it. That's in the Bible, and that's what that means. Okay? They're still fighting that war and must criminalize anti-Semitism, including BDS, Free Palestine, etc., as illegal incitement. They want to make it so if you say Free Palestine, that's incitement of violence, and you go to prison. If you say you support BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions, you go to prison because that's incitement of violence. Even though the whole fucking point of BDS is a non-violent way to fight back against illegal occupation. That's the whole point. It's the exact thing that worked in apartheid South Africa. Anyway, I digress. He says, is this not an open conspiracy to deprive Americans of their rights? Well, I'm going to play the clip for you, and you're going to determine what you think about it. But again, I'm amazed that this shit was said out loud and recorded. Here we go.
We're still fighting the Amalekite war. Just the name of the Amalekites has changed over time. What are we supposed to do about this mess? Okay, we've only been fighting for 3,300 years. Or if you start with Abraham, we've been fighting for 3,800 years. So I have another slide. And the title of this slide is basically time to criminalize incitement to genocide. So you might want to say, well, why am I using this slide? Well, there's two ways to confront evil. There's more, but pretend there's two ways. One is directly, one is indirectly. The direct way to fight evil is to say we're fighting 21 wars. We're going to create a strategy for each of the 21 wars, the fronts. We're going to allocate the resources necessary to defeat the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues on 21 fronts. Well, that's very expensive, needless to say. And all democracies are undereducated. In other words, they have no clue in terms of knowledge, because nobody wants to educate them. And everyone, as we say in America, all democracies are fat, dumb, and happy. And everyone just wants to have a good life. They don't want to hear about 21 wars. They don't want to hear about reds, greens, and blues. They don't want to hear about doubling national security spending. They basically want subsidies for themselves. So that's the direct way to confront these bad guys. Now, there's an indirect way in that all the reds, greens, and blues hate Jews. They're all anti-Semitic. They all hate God. They all hate morality. They all hate the rule of law. So if you could criminalize incitement to genocide, you could, in effect, put a lot of bad guys in jail without actually confronting them on the 21 issues that we're facing. Now, I came up with this idea due to someone that President Trump often mentions, Al Capone. Al Capone was a famous criminal, gangster, in the 1925-30 period of time. And he was guilty of anything a gangster can do. But he went to jail for tax evasion. They didn't actually do a trial and say, oh, you killed this person, you stole this money, you did this evil thing. No, they just took all the evil that he did and said, you never told the Internal Revenue Service that you were stealing all this money and you didn't pay taxes on it. So they arrested him for tax evasion and put him in jail. Incitement for genocide is the equivalent of arresting Al Capone for tax evasion.
So do you understand what he's saying here? This is actually astonishing that he's saying this shit out loud. What he's saying is, look, all these people, all the people who are like in favor of Palestinian rights, anti-genocide, against the apartheid ethno-state of Israel, all these people are just definitionally enemies of ours, right? And we hate them, we want to kill them, but there's a different way to go about it. Instead of getting Al Capone for his murders and his gangster criminal activity, we got him on tax evasion. So let's get all the pro-Palestine people, all these terrible anti-Semites, let's get them for incitement to genocide. This is, simply put, the most un-American, anti-free speech, anti-enlightenment value, anti-rule of law thing I've ever heard in my life. It is an open conspiracy against our rights. That's what this is. And he's casually describing it. He's casually describing it as if it's nothing, as if it's like, hey, everybody would be proud of this plan. Aren't I such a genius? No, this is nefarious. This is comic book villain type shit. Let's lock up people for speaking their mind, for telling the truth, for criticizing war crimes, for criticizing starving innocent people, for criticizing the right to grape protest that happened in Israel when the IDF was caught systemically graping Palestinians. This is a sick joke, bro. This is a sick joke.
His real crime was all the people he killed and all the money he stole. But the after effect was that he could be declared guilty for tax evasion. So just to summarize this in like 1 minute, go down the left of the page, and I have copies of this if some of you want them to come up to me and I'll give you a copy.
I'm just going to read this for you guys here for a second. Slogans, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. The implied meaning is genocide of all Jews and Christians in Israel. I like how he lumped in Christians there too. Theoretical solution, designate organizations and leaders supporting this platform domestic and FTOs, foreign terrorist organizations. That's what that is. So in other words, yeah, lock them up just for saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be set free. Globalize the intifada, the implied meaning, kill all Jews in the world. Again, notice how they have to make that up. They have to put that in there. They have to pretend like that's the meaning when that is not the actual meaning. It's astonishing. When you talk to Free Palestine people, they tell you across the board, what we want is, Palestinians and Israelis to have equal rights. That's what we want. We want equal rights for all. One person, one vote. Secular democracy in the region. And they lie and flip that and say, actually, no, you just want all Jews to be murdered. It's so dishonest. BDS, they say the implied meaning is boycott Israel until all Jews are killed. Oh, my days. Oh, no. They just have to make shit up. They just have to make shit up in order to try to get their way. It's really fucking disgusting. The Zionists are completely and utterly out of control here, man. Holy shit.
So, for example, when someone says from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that's a euphemism for killing everyone in Israel. That's incitement for genocide. I think you should go to jail for that.
Let me explain something to you. If you think that is worthy of jail, what the fuck is what Ben Gvir says and what Smotrich says and what Netanyahu says and what every single Israeli government psychopath has said? Ben Gvir got a cake for his birthday with a noose on it. He just recorded a video bragging about where he's going to murder the thousands of hostage Palestinians that they have. A bunch of them for the crime of throwing a rock or fucking jaywalking. Okay? They're doing a systemic murderous death penalty move here where it's like they're turning their detention camps into death camps. He sees no problem with that whatsoever. He sees no problem with, people saying the defense minister in Israel saying we're cutting off all food, fuel, water, and electricity to Gaza. We're fighting human animals and we're going to treat them as such. Calling everybody in Gaza an animal, that's okay. That's not incitement to violence. Saying stuff like we are going to kill them all is not incitement to violence. But if somebody says free Palestine, oh my days.
Globalize the Intifada. That's what the mayor of New York City, a criminal, foreign agent, illegal citizen who should be arrested and deported, he believes in number 2. Number 3, free
Calling Zoran a criminal based on fucking dick, based on nothing.
Palestine. Again, that means free Palestine of Jews and replace it by criminal terrorists.
Totally made up.
Death cults.
Oh, you want to talk about a death cult? You want to talk about a death cult, Mr. Zionist? You're in the fucking death cult. What do you think Israel is? It's a terrorist rape ethno-state built on apartheid. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. It's impossible to take these people seriously. I can't take you seriously because you are incapable of holding yourself, forget to the same standard as you hold Palestinians. You can't hold yourself to any fucking standards. You're in favor of your side just committing mass murder, and if the other side says the wrong words, you go to prison. Go to prison forever.
BDS, boycott, divestiture, or sanction. There's nothing Israel can do to protect itself. That's really calling for the annihilation of Israel.
Oh, my days. What admission there, by the way. If you don't support BDS, now you know you got to support BDS. He's saying there's nothing Israel can do if they do BDS. In other words, it worked against apartheid South Africa. It would work against us. People who are in favor of a free Palestine, the thing they want is equal rights for all and the war criminals to be arrested. That's it. That's what they want. They make it seem like, oh no, they want to build the concentration camps and shove the Jews in. No, that's actually what Israel is doing to Palestinians right now, building the concentration camps and shoving the Palestinians in.
Al Jazeera, which is supported by Qatar, which itself is a criminal death cult, has their own death cult news station. Why didn't we close that down?
I love how the people doing all the wanton violence in the region are accusing others of being a death cult. That is rich.
Holocaust denial, defund the police, 12 Shiite believers in Sharia law.
12 Shiite Islam believers. All Christians, Jews, and Hindus must be killed. So he's saying you need to mass arrest every single Shia in the world. Again, how am I supposed to take this seriously? He's admitting it out loud. He's saying out loud, here's my evil plan. Here's my evil scheme. Here's my devious goal. What I'm going to try to do is lie about my opponents, pretend like they're inciting violence when they're not inciting violence, and lock people up for saying things that are actually very reasonable and things that people believe across the board. I mean, some of these things would literally poll. Like, if you poll people in the United States, do you support a free Palestine? You're probably going to get over 50% that say that. There's even going to be some people who say, oh yeah, I support Israel, but if you ask them, hey, should we have a free Palestine? They'd say, yeah, sure, why not? It's probably going to be over 50%. You want to lock up over half the fucking population? Again, I want to repeat this. This is the most un-American shit I've ever seen in my life, and it's not particularly close. This is embarrassing. This is disgraceful. This is vile. This is wretched. I'm an American, okay? I was born in this country. All I know is this country. And in this country, one of the things that did make me the most proud was the history and the track record, especially in the modern era, of our case law when it comes to free speech, okay? In this country, if you're not doing a direct threat to violence, you can almost say anything. Of course, defamation, libel, slander, all that stuff, there's exceptions, of course, but we lean as hard as we can on the side of freedom of speech. Then this guy comes along and goes, yeah, let's do the opposite of that. Let's actually ruin the First Amendment. Let's ruin the Constitution. Let's not care about free speech. Let's take away people's rights, and let's lock them up, not only for saying things that he views as like edgy or controversial, but saying things that are true. You're not allowed to say things that are true. If I just objectively and empirically describe what the Israeli government is doing, he would say, that's incitement to violence and you should go to prison. There's no reasoning with this. This can only be defeated, and that's what you need to understand.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Benny Johnson is a MAGA hack, and he's a closet case. And for those of you who don't know, of course, the lore about Benny Johnson is that he posted one time some article in the Military Times, and he goes, look at the ads that they're running in the Military Times. And it said, like, come join Single Gay Cruise, the best single gay cruises around. And everybody's like, hey, idiot, those are personally tailored ads. So all that means is you're beating your little meat to gay porn. You're a closet case, and you just outed yourself. And then, of course, there's been people who come out who've accused him. Oh, I hooked up with him in a closet at a BuzzFeed event in 2013 or whatever the fuck. So anyway, massive closet case, massive MAGA hack. And this guy has completely and utterly lost the plot. He's lost his mind. He's insane. He has on a senator. And they are going to say one of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard. Take a listen. Here we go.
Senator, I don't think you were at UFC at the White House, but like, I think I'm getting this right. Like the left is setting themselves up. They're training. They're ready to like try and stage a mass slaughter event on America.
The left is trying to stage a mass slaughter event on America. By the way, what's their evidence for that? In this portion, they're talking about how there was some fire or some sort of attack, maybe not, in some ICE building in New York it was, or somewhere else. I don't even know the specifics. But bottom line is, it actually wasn't that big of a deal, number one. Number two, even if there was an attack on an ICE building or on ICE agents, it's probably because they keep shooting innocent people in the face and they keep shoving people into concentration camps, and they're responsible for torture and rape of innocent people, and they're ruining lives for no reason whatsoever, and they're a bunch of criminals, and they're threatening to slit the throats of their ex-wives, as we learned the other day. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's like they're doing wanton violence, so there's like defensive violence that's happening. Maybe that would be why. But no, the left is planning a mass slaughter event. So let me explain this to you. As MAGA is literally building ICE concentration camps and shoving innocent people in there, as they're protecting every Epstein pedophile and haven't arrested a single one, as Trump is self-dealing relentlessly and starting multiple illegal wars at once, as they're creating a terrorism blacklist and putting left-wing commentators on it, he's going, oh my God, the left is so violent. The left is so violent, I say, as I watch ICE murder another innocent person by shooting them in the face at point-blank range, completely unprompted. Who the fuck is buying this shit? You guys are the most violent, depraved, wretched cunts imaginable. Nothing about your movement is good. Everything is violent. Everything is ugly. Everything is gross. Everything is fascist in nature. And you go, oh, look at the left. What's the knock on the left? Half the time you go, look at these sissy leftists. These LGBTQ queer leftists with their purple hair and their septum ring and sitting in a circle and singing Kumbaya and hitting their bongos together. They're a bunch of weak little pussy-ass bitches. You say that half the time, and the other half the time, it's like we're motherfucking Rambo rushing in there with a machine gun and shooting in every which direction. No, the fact of the matter is, and everybody knows this if you're familiar with the data, the overwhelming majority of the political violence done in this country is done by right-wingers. Right-wing ideology is more violent by definition. And that's why 80% or more of the political violence is right-wing political violence. So spare me. Oh, the left is going to do a mass attack. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Why don't you just live your life the way you know you want to live your life, Benny Johnson? Go put on some assless chaps. Go hang out with Steven Crowder as he wears his wig and some tights, and go to West Hollywood and start rubbing baby oil on each other in a club and dancing to It's Raining Men, you bitch.
The left is setting themselves up. They're training. They're ready to like try and stage a mass slaughter event on America.
My favorite part is they're training. Oh, are they? Are they training? Interesting. Who? Where? What are you talking about? What groups? Where's the video? Where's the evidence? Oh, that's right. You don't have any because you fucking made it up.
They're ready to do it.
Yeah, I mean, these are Antifa tactics they've used. You were talking about what happened yesterday. Remember in Dallas, there was a similar kind of incident. What they're doing is they're drawing federal officers out, and then they have snipers or other people who are going to actually murder ICE agents or anybody.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Remember when there was an ICE shooting, and it was a person who they said wrote anti-ICE on the bullet casings. Anti-ICE, they say the person wrote on the bullet casings. Here's the problem. The person actually ended up killing the immigrants ICE was transferring, not the ICE agents. But Kash Patel's dumbass tried to pretend like, oh, it's far left violence. It's far left violence that killed the immigrants who they would want to protect or something. Even their fucking psyops are a miserable failure, bro. Even their psyops. Why is it every time there's an alleged attempted shooting of Trump, either it appears to be totally bogus and fake and fraudulent, or you look into it and it's like, oh, that person was actually a registered Republican? Why is it the Tyler Robinson case, for example, which they try to blame on far left extremists, you look into it a little deeper and you go, nobody thinks it was fucking Tyler Robinson that killed him. Nobody thinks the official story is the correct story. Everybody thinks that's made up. Other right-wingers think that's made up, except for motherfucking Benny Johnson, who's made, oh, look at me, I'm the party line guy. I think Donald Trump is sure is swell, fella, and he's telling us the truth about everything, and the left sure is violent and crazy. As I watch my president openly post shit like, I'm gonna annihilate an entire civilization in Iran. I just bombed another girls' school. I just bombed another hospital. I love bombing hospitals. I love killing innocent people. And Benny Johnson, oh, the left is so violent, I say as I watch my murderous president brag about being murderous. Oh, God, I hate him so much.
That comes out of those federal buildings. This is like a tactic they've been using. And I think that one thing that's been made very clear, and Secretary Rubio gave a speech about this too, and I talked about it a year ago, the connectedness now of these organizations. It's much easier for them to be a network where they're sharing not just, human resources, people connecting, but also tactics.
So this is dangerous, because understand what he's doing here. He's saying, just like Stephen Miller pointed out, it's all connected. All the groups are connected. All of them are in on the terrorism and the violence. So when we go after the Southern Poverty Law Center, that's legitimate. When we go after Act Blue, which is the payment processor for Democratic campaigns, that's legitimate. When we go after Democracy Now! And the Amazon Labor Union and Hassan Piker and his Twitch stream, well, that's totally legitimate because it's all connected. They're all violent. It's all connected. They are plotting the worst McCarthyite crackdown you've ever seen. It's going to be worse than original McCarthyism. It's going to be worse than the original Red Scare. They're trying to gin this shit up, and you know what? They are failing and flopping around like a fish fresh out of water. You want to know why? Because the entire fucking country is going, I think I'm left-wing now. They're looking around at gas prices skyrocketing. They're looking around at grocery prices skyrocketing, wages not going up. 80-90% of the country already feels like they're in a fucking recession. We're wasting trillions on endless fucking wars all over the place. No Epstein pedophiles arrested. And they're going, you know what? I think I'm the opposite of whatever this regime is. That's what people are saying. So they're trying to do Red Scare McCarthyism shit at a time when the left-wing ideas are more popular than they've ever fucking been in modern history. Good luck. They said DSA and Zoran are on the terror blacklist. The mayor of New York City, who's filling motherfucking potholes right now, is on the terror blacklist. Hassan Piker, who's making dick jokes while he streams on Twitch, is on a terror blacklist. Shut the fuck up. Oh, it's gonna be a mass slaughter event. Shut the fuck up. Oh my days. They're such lying scumbags. This is a senator talking to closet case Benny Johnson about this. This shit's got to stop, bro. This shit's got to stop. These are the enemies. They're not just the enemies of the left. They're the enemies of civilization and common sense and reason and empathy and the Constitution and the law and everything good.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all. So Tim Dillon is continuing his streak of being fed up with MAGA, fed up with J.D. Vance, fed up with Donald Trump, maybe even low-key fed up with his boy Joe Rogan skis, just a little bit, un poquito. I mean, he never say it, but he might feel it. This is kind of crazy here. So this is where he makes a point about all the rigged election. The election was rigged. It was stolen. It's stolen. Listen to what he says here.
We're all over the map here. Trump comes out yesterday and goes, the voting's all fucked up, but yet the Republicans won 2016 and 2024, and now they have the House and the Senate. They have all of those races they won, and they won the presidency. And he's claiming that the voting is the biggest issue. They genuinely, literally right now have they have the Congress, the House, the House, the Congress, Senate, everything. Kind of most of the Supreme Court. Thomas Massey made that point. He's like, we kind of have all of the things we could want. And they're going out and going, the election was stolen.
I'll say this, bro. It is going to be hard for them to pull off whatever shenanigans and fuckery and stealing they're going to try to pull off in the midterms and in 2028 if this is the reaction of your normie American. Okay, we're going to be looking at a situation where the 30% of the country that still coddles Trump's nuts, they're going to be like, oh yeah, it was stolen. And, when Trump tries to steal it in 2028, they're going to be like, oh yeah, he's just protecting us from fraud or whatever. But that means 70% or more of the country is going to be like, fuck you, what the fuck are you talking about? The fact that Tim Dillon, who rode hard for MAGA in 2024, He's now out there going, really? Stolen election? Really? You have the House, you have the Senate, you have the White House, you have the judiciary. You control every lever of power, but somehow you're whining and crying and bitching and moaning that the 2020 election was stolen? Tell me how that makes sense. So, by the way, who controlled the government when Trump won the first time? Barack Obama controlled the federal government, right? The Democrats controlled it. And Trump won in 2016 and ended up getting power. That's weird. If the Democrats were going to steal it, why wouldn't they have stolen it when Barack Obama held control? Why wouldn't they have done that? That seems kind of weird. In 2020, who controlled the levers of power in the federal government? Donald J. Trump. So Donald J. Trump is saying Democrats stole it when he controlled the federal government in his first term. That's what he's saying. What a sick, sick, sick joke. Okay? And then in 2024, he gets back in there. Who was controlling the federal government when that election happened? Joe Biden. So weird. Whenever you win an election and a Democrat controls it, it's funny. Why wouldn't they have stolen those elections? And how did they manage to steal it when you were running the federal government? It seems like it's completely and utterly fucking made up. Seems like it's garbage. Seems like it's cope. Look, I told you guys, Trump can't even hold an L for a golf tournament. So there's no way he's going to hold an L for an election. Okay, there's that famous story of he was at some team golf event with like Bill Clinton and Michael Bloomberg and some other people, and their team got draxed. They did poorly. And Trump marched into the clubhouse and told them, you better get me a trophy for low individual net. And they were like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a team event. He goes, well, you better make it happen. So they ended up going into the hallway, getting a vase, taking out the flowers, pouring out the water, and giving it to Trump during the ceremony. He said, oh yeah, low net, Donald Trump. And he goes, thank you. He couldn't hold an L for a fucking scramble golf tournament. You think he's going to be, oh yeah, of course, yeah, Democrats had a historic blue wave tonight. Sure, everybody, give them their seats. Are you kidding me? He's going to be whining and crying and bitching and moaning and coping and saying, rigged, stolen. And he's going to try to send ICE or the National Guard or try whatever tricks he can to put his thumb on the scale, break the chain of custody for the voting, and try to take that shit. Hear me now, quote me later. That's what he does. That's what he fucking does. Well, then we also got this one. You have Tim Dillon talking about RFK. And this is interesting because I thought Tim Dillon was like an RFK guy, but now he's even sick of him. So let's get it. Here we go.
Water's got high levels of bacteria. Drinking water in a lot of areas isn't safe. That's not going to get better. RFK and Cheryl, I mean, did you see this? He's like fighting a yak. This was the guy who was going to try to help the food. The food's as bad as it's ever been. That was all fake, by the way. He was going to look into all of the vaccines and the food. He didn't do any of that. It's fake. So he's like on some summer vacation with Cheryl and some yak. He's just like on his Instagram. So he's like, we did a 10-mile hike up the mountain and I saw a yak. And then I pushed the yak with my phone and it ran away. And you're like, hey man, weren't you supposed to ban the big gulp or something? They've done nothing. But all they could do is just move us to European standards on the food. They've done none of that. Because the corporations, Trump's a junk food addict. It's the junk food presidency. And all the people that own the big food conglomerates, they're like, well, no, you're not banning shit. They banned one dye, this one red dye. So none of it's getting fixed. And the tech people are basically like, we just have to get out of here because, yeah, here we are. This is the Health and Human Services Secretary. This is the guy who's going to fix the food.
Sure.
Should we get inside this thing?
Maybe you should get inside the cage.
Honey.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Come on, honey. Get up on the other side of that stone. Get on the other side of the stone wall.
He's fighting a yak. All right, get him out of here. So that's now what our country has become. Our country now, he's doing content. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is now doing content on social media with wild animals. He's now become some weird version of the crocodile hunter. He's now he's the Steve Irwin that we deserve.
You were warned, bro. Yet again, I hate to be a broken record here, but it's not like people weren't warned. This dude, RFK, thinks nicotine is good for you. He drinks methylene blue, which is the new right-wing craze. It'll fix your mitochondria and make you feel so much better. Meanwhile, it stains your tongue blue. Apparently, they've looked at people's bodies after they die, and if you drink methylene blue, it literally dyes your brain blue. It's very bizarre, but this is the shit he's taking now. I mean, this guy takes testosterone and human growth hormone like he's a fucking bodybuilder or some shit. Meanwhile, he's 70 years old, thereabouts. He takes a fucking peptide that makes your skin darker, which has been used by, bodybuilder types. He's obsessed with mitochondria. He eats roadkill. He was chopping off raccoon dicks. I love how the head of Health and Human Services was caught chopping off raccoon dicks and nobody even talks about it anymore. Hey, what were you doing with the raccoon dicks? Just a question. If I had friends who were chopping off raccoon dicks and keeping them, I'd have some questions. I'm like, hey, dog, are you sucking the raccoon dick? Like, what's going on here? What are you doing with those raccoon dicks? Name a use for a raccoon dick that's not awkward and weird and somewhat nefarious and creepy. Oh no, bro, it's not a big deal. I cut the raccoon dick and then I hang it on my mantle, dog. Like, I just hang it on the wall. It's like artwork and stuff, bro. Little raccoon dick thing, bro. Know what I'm saying? There is no reasonable thing. The motherfucker beheaded a whale and put it on his car and was driving with it, guts falling all over the place as he's driving. People looking at it like, what the fuck is that? This is what this guy did. He bathed in sewage. There's a creek that had sewage water. There was a warning not to bathe in it. Not only was he bathing in it, he was bathing in it with like his fucking grandkids or some shit. And bro, this was only like 2 or 3 years ago, dog. This was not even that long ago. He was bathing in the head of Health and Human Services, bathing in sewage water. This is who we're talking about. He's always been a fucking little preening social media whore. This is who he's always been. So it's good. Well, hey, better late than never, right? Better late than never. But I will end with this, though, because this is good, Tim Dillon, that I'm showing you here. But let's remember, he's still got issues, dog. Here he is talking about Zoran Mamdani. Ready? Here we go.
It's all fake. Mamdani's Trump. He's smart. He's sharp. He's good looking and young. He's this old crap. It's YouTube. It's like, look, billionaire guy. Ken Griffin's in Palm Beach, building a house worth $1 billion. You're not going to do anything to Ken Griffin. You're a city employee. The mayor is fake. It's like he'll raise taxes maybe if he can get it done, but he can't. It'll get dirtier. Crime will go up, or it won't. It's kind of whatever. It's just not. I think it's not. It's more just the corporations rule.
The corporations rule, which is why I'm going to shit on one of the politicians who's actually standing up to corporations and delivering. That's embarrassing. So first of all, crime went down. It's actually at historic lows. Thank you very much. So the whole these leftists, crime is going to skyrocket. It's going to be fucking chaos and bedlam. Turns out the exact opposite happened, but no big deal. Okay. This is the false equivalent shit. He goes he's like Trump. Zoran's like Trump. No, I'm sorry. Zoran is good and is doing good shit. Trump is horrible and is doing horrible shit. And you fell for the Trump bullshit. And meanwhile, here comes the real deal in Zoran, and apparently you're not on board for that. So this whole thing was wrong because he's actually delivering. Crackdown on shitty landlords, ordered a deep cleaning of the subway, which everybody fucking loves because the subway's dirty as shit. He got Hochul on board for universal child care. He is going to be able to freeze the rent. He filled a record number of potholes. He is taxing the rich, making him, oh no, he'd never be able to. He is taxing the rich. He's pulled that shit off. Okay? So this is why his approval's gone up since he got in office, because he said a whole bunch of shit and he delivered on a lot of that shit. And even if he just delivers on 50 or 60% of it, that's way more than any other fucking politician in modern day history. And so this is the problem. I told you, in his better moments, in his worst moments, he's just MAGA, Tim Dillon. In his better moments, he reverts to the lazy both sides framing. They're both bad. It's all bullshit. He's like a classic Gen X nihilist. Nothing matters. Get yours while you can. That's why he took the money from Saudi Arabia to do their fucking thing before he got fired, right? And that's just horseshit. No, things actually can get better. There are people who are trying to make it better, and the fact of the matter is, I think he has leftist derangement syndrome and liberal derangement syndrome and Democrat derangement syndrome, which is why he can never bring himself fully there to be like, yeah, Republicans suck, they're the worst, and it actually turns out Democrats are better, and it turns out the people who are actually trying to fix shit are probably the ones who get the most shit from the Rogan sphere, namely Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Zoran Mamdani, AOC. The left flank of the Democrats are the ones who are actually delivering on some shit and trying their best to make lives better for people. But, it's easier to go they all suck. It's all bullshit. It's all WWE. He's not going to be able to do the shit even though he's doing the shit. So anyway, there you have it. But either way, completely and utterly done with MAGA and ripping them a new asshole on a regular basis nowadays, it looks like. All right, y'all, that's the show. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor. Subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. That helps out big time. It costs you nothing. Support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below as well. We have Charles Booker coming on this week. Excited for that. And go subscribe to Corin's World. Love you guys, and I will see y'all later. Peace.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, happy Friday. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. I got some major breaking news here for you. So right off the rip, man, let's talk about this. This is crazy. But there is speculation online right now that last night a U.S. fighter jet was shot down in Iran, okay? So footage shows something crashing and burning, some aerial object crashing and burning, falling from the sky over Keshem Island in southern Iran, and the initial reports were that Iran struck a U.S. fighter jet. Now, you know, massive grain of salt here, massive asterisks in the conversation. I do not know if that's actually what it is. It's possible it's something else. What else? I don't know. I couldn't say. I'm not an expert. The video looks sketchy as hell, but that's the speculation. That's the rumor online right now, is that Iran potentially took out a U.S. fighter jet in around Keshem Island. Now, this is at the same time, mind you, we know the U.S. is covering up so much stuff. It was just exposed this week. They are covering up the number of injuries that our soldiers have taken. They've covered up the amount of damage that our bases have taken as a result of Iran's attacks, okay? They also, I'm sure you guys saw this, they removed 4 dead U.S. soldiers from the casualty list of this war and made some bullshit argument that, oh, well, technically, they don't count as dying in this war, even though they were killed in this war. Trump is doing everything possible to cover his ass, okay? He's not getting away with it, but he's trying desperately to cover his ass. So would I be surprised if they shot down a U.S. fighter jet and they're basically trying to do a massive cover-up? I would not be surprised in the least. Not in the least. So that would be a huge, huge deal, man. We also have this. Jesse Waters, the Fox News frat boy rapist, he said, breaking, B-1 bombers just dropped 2,000-pound bombs into Iran. So he is bragging about what was the 13th straight night of U.S. war crimes where they're carpet bombing Iranian civilian areas. He's bragging about that. By the way, J.D. Vance last week went on Joe Rogan's show and said, we're not just going to bomb and bomb and bomb and bomb Iran. And then literally every day since he said that, we've bombed and bombed and bombed and bombed Iran. It was one of the most insane lies I've ever seen told, especially because when he said it, I think we were bombing Iran at the same time. And he lies to Joe Rogan's face. He lies to Joe Rogan's audience. Joe Rogan sits there and take it like the little cuck boy that he is, the little water boy for MAGA that he is. And here we are, 13 nights straight of carpet bombing civilian targets. And here's Jesse Waters saying, B-1 bombers just dropped 2,000-pound bombs. And he's like joyous about that fact. This is absolutely positively insane. By the way, all signs point to something big is coming, okay? Because there's a full-scale U.S. air bridge to the Middle East that's happening right now, okay? So there's dozens of USAF transport flights that are going from key bases in Europe to the Middle East. So many different flights have gone, and it looks like they're plotting either a ground invasion or taking Keshem Island or Karg Island, one of the oil islands. This is not, guys, Trump has nowhere else to go. You know, he did the fake negotiation and fake diplomacy, lied to Iran, stabbed them in the back, all that stuff, violated the deal 1,000 ways to Sunday. Now they have no interest in talking to him. More on that in a second. So he's in a corner. So what does he do when he's in a corner? He panics like an animal, and he's probably going to escalate. He might use a Moab. He might use a nuclear weapon. I told you, there's speculation. There's nuclear planes that were sent to the region, and there's speculation they're going to hit this place called Pickaxe Mountain with, like, bunker-busting nuclear weapons. And that's because it's, like, deep under a mountain, and that would be the only kind of weaponry that could actually penetrate. So now that's what people are saying. Oh my God, bro. And nobody's talking about this. This is barely being talked about. By the way, the Israelis made up, like, oh yeah, Pickaxe Mountain. That's where all the stuff is, bro. Something. Go ahead. Do something there. Trump's like, all right, maybe we'll nuke them. It's absolutely fucking insane. It is insane what we're looking at here. So look out, because a massive escalation is coming, is my guess. And Iran knows that a massive escalation is coming from the U.S. and Israel, the axis of Epstein. Oh, by the way, Israel, as you know, they're now sitting in the corner watching us. They got us to start the war. Now they're watching as our people die and Iranian civilians die. And they go, oh, yeah, keep going for us. We really appreciate it. They literally want us to do the dirty work for them, and that's exactly what's happening. Okay, let me also give you this. The New York Times is reporting that Iran rejected a ceasefire proposal from Trump this week. So as Trump's saying, they're begging to make a deal with me, actually, the reporting is it's the opposite. Behind the scenes, he's using back channels to try to get a deal. He's the one that's asking for a deal. He's the one that's begging for a deal. And according to the New York Times, they used Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi, and he allegedly carried the message to Tehran. And Iran immediately was like, we have zero interest whatsoever in talking to you. No interest whatsoever. Because again, our word is now destroyed. Our word means less than nothing. Okay? So just wild, wild stuff. We also have this. This is some interesting reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Because to this point, it feels like the U.S. feels, certainly in the homeland, if you will, outside of the high gas prices, we don't feel the direct impact of these illegal wars of aggression, right? Well, the Wall Street Journal says, quote, the war has taken a personal toll on the president and some of his senior advisors. Some top aides have been advised by intelligence agencies that the Iranians are seeking to kill them and have been told to stop taking car services, according to people familiar with the matter. So now, Marco Rubio, for example, right, the Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreth, Donald Trump, Lord knows who else, Stephen Miller, I don't know. Apparently, they are terrified and they walk around thinking there's a target on their back and that Iran is going to get them at any second. Okay? This is what we call fucking around and finding out. This is what we call the chickens coming home to roost. This is what we call you made the bed and now you're going to fucking sleep in it, bitch. That's what this is. So you start an illegal war of aggression against a country that didn't attack us, and now you got to walk around fearing for your fucking life. Whereas before this, you don't have to worry about anything. They didn't have to worry about anything. So, look, they get what they get, dog. I don't know what you want me to say. They get what they get. They started it. Maybe don't start the shit if you don't want to have to fear for your life. All right, how about this, man? This is kind of crazy. But Israel is now intentionally and systematically destroying Lebanon's water infrastructure. To this point, they've destroyed 107 wells, 16 pumping stations, 185 water towers, and 43 kilometers of pipe, like a whole pipe network. All bombed, bulldozed, or burned, okay? You have people blowing the whistle on this and saying, like, look, this is a war crime, this is an atrocity, this is part and parcel with genocide, just like what they did in Gaza, and now it's happening in South Lebanon. And again, I want to reiterate, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. And it drives me fucking crazy. The Israelis do the most depraved shit on a daily basis, and it barely gets mentioned. It barely makes the news. You barely hear a peep. You know, there's some voices in online media that talk about it more regularly than mainstream media does. But it's astonishing to me how out of whack our moral outrage meter is, right? Like this should be 24/7 breaking news, people screaming about this from the rooftops. It will not even get mentioned. And the U.S. won't fucking blink in terms of our endless support for the terror, rape, apartheid state. We'll go, oh, you committed an act of genocide and destroyed all the water infrastructure? Cool. Here's more billions of dollars. Cool. The House just passed the bill that merges the U.S. and Israeli military together and increases intelligence sharing and creation of new weaponry and shit like that. At the same time, they're committing another genocide. The U.S. is like, hey, want to do a hostile takeover of our military? And you have literally every Republican not named Thomas Massey in the House committing fucking treason. And I believe there were 6 Democrats also that committed fucking treason here. And by the way, all of them paid by AIPAC. All of them, of course. So this is what it is, bro. This is what it is. I have no words for the depravity of what we see here on a daily basis. By the way, speaking of depravity, the Financial Times is saying that the Trump administration has collected more than $13 billion in revenue from Venezuelan oil sales this year. $13 billion from Venezuelan oil sales. This is a Financial Times calculation, but apparently the Trump regime has said nothing about what has happened to the money. Well, that's actually not totally true, Because at the beginning of this whole thing, it was made very clear, or it was reported on either by the New York Times or Wall Street Journal or Washington Post or somebody, that Trump was taking that money and putting it in a private bank account in Qatar that only he controls. It's his personal slush fund. The sovereign wealth of the independent country of Venezuela is being robbed and controlled by one person, Donald J. Trump. And now it's ballooned to $13 billion in revenue. Yet again, I want you to stop and think if this was anybody else. Can you imagine Barack Obama illegally invades a country, carpet bombs the Capitol, kills a grandma, kidnaps the president, holds them extrajudicially with no charges, then starts stealing the oil and the gold from said country? Everybody would correctly look at him as like a world historic villain, okay, on par with the worst fascists in history. Donald Trump does it. It's thing number 38 on the list of scandals just this week. And that's insane to me. That's insane. On this alone, he should be in prison for life. And that's to say nothing of all the other crimes, all the other, instances of corruption and bribery, self-dealing. That's to say nothing of those. On this alone, motherfucking prison for life. Stole $13 billion from a sovereign nation and is personally controlling it. In the same way, he wants $10 billion from U.S. taxpayers for his Board of Peace, which is supposed to be above the UN. And what are they going to do? Well, they're going to control Gaza and fix Gaza. It's literally just like, you cannot create a more cartoon villain-like scenario than that, right? A group that's more nefarious than that. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So anyway, your president is robbing the sovereign wealth of the independent country of Venezuela and putting it in his own fucking private bank account. Jesus Christ, man. All right, here we go. Speaking of corruption, let's talk about this. Don Jr.'s investment firm has posted a 200% return. So Don Jr. is the head of 1789 Capital, which repeatedly bought shares in private companies before they've gone public, often by leveraging their political and business connections to secure a stake. So a lot of these companies, guess what? They have federal contracts. Others, quote, have benefited directly from new Trump policies or rollbacks of existing laws. In interviews, executives at companies that 1789 is invested in said they viewed being involved with 1789 as a big way to get close to the Trump orbit. Guys, they created this thing called the Executive Club. You know what that is? Literally just pay-to-play bribery. You give the Trump shitty kids some fucking money, then you get no-bid contracts, then you get subsidies, you get tax cuts, you get all the fucking benefits in the world. And this guy, I don't know if you guys know this, but Trump Jr. got a $620 million subsidy from the U.S. government that his fucking dad controls for this company called Vulcan Earth or Vulcan Elements, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. A no-bid contract, over $600 million, shoveled from U.S. taxpayers to this fucking guy. Nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. His investment firm, 200% return. Like I said, these people make Nancy Pelosi look like an angel. They make fucking Hunter Biden look like a Boy Scout. I've never seen anything like this. Hunter Biden made $200,000 every single year that his dad was president. The most corrupt thing he did was sell some paintings for 17 cents in a Pop-Tart. Okay? Who are we kidding? Jared Kushner got $2 billion from Saudi Arabia and allegedly gave them classified information for that, which is a crime that should put him in prison for life. Don Jr. is robbing American taxpayers. This is insane. 200% return? Oh my days. We are so back to like Gilded Age type shit. We are so back to like Wild Wild West type criminality. I mean, they are basically looting the treasury right in front of our eyes, the entire Epstein class. How about this? President Trump did a rally speech the other day. He urged his supporters to, quote, go and buy a Dell computer. Well, guess what? The president has purchased around $5 million worth of Dell shares in 2026 alone. So as he's buying a tremendous amount of Dell shares, he's going, you guys should buy Dell computers, and effectively trying to market manipulate and make money. And that's exactly what he's doing. Guys, they made, according to Iran, they calculate the Trump regime and all the insiders have made $9 billion off insider trading just around the Iran war. That's to say nothing about the tariffs and the trade war where they also probably profited billions. That's to say nothing of all this other stuff that we're talking about here. I mean, it is a world historic crime spree, the likes of which we've never fucking seen before. By the way, Trump has made more money in his first year in office than the last 18 presidents combined. Combined. That's a fact that's so absurd it sounds made up. Until you stop and think about it for 2 seconds and you realize, I'm actually surprised it's not more than that. All right, how about this? So Reason Magazine posted this article. They're like a libertarian outlet, but they posted Trump's 18-month deadline to cut electricity prices. Trump's 18-month deadline to cut electricity prices in half has arrived. Rates are up 18%. So he was running around going, give me 18 months, I'll cut electricity prices in half. And the opposite happened. It spiked 18%. Yet another broken campaign promise. Added to the list of all the, with no new wars, I'm not going to start a new war, I'm the anti-war president, I'm the peace president. Started 7 wars. Add this to that one, right? Add this to that list, that endless fucking list. Now, the midterms, man, the Democrats are licking their chops right now. We have a new poll from Emerson that just came out. On the generic ballot, Democrats are at 53%, Republicans are at 42%. That's, an 11-point lead from Democrats on some casual, nonchalant ass shit. That is wild. This is why Republicans are destroying the Voting Rights Act, trying to do every dirty trick in the book to hold on to power. Trump releases a new plan every other week on how he's going to rig the election, how he's going to ballot spoil and ballot purge and all this stuff. They do that because they know they have to do that. They do that because if they don't do that, they're going to get their cheeks clapped, and it's going to be a historic blue tsunami. So 53 to 42, bro. That is astonishing stuff right there. Now, looking at a Democratic primary here. Oh, and by the way, tune into Crystal Kyle and Friends tonight. You don't want to miss the episode. We have Charles Booker, who's a Democrat running for the U.S. Senate in Kentucky. By the way, everybody go donate to Charles Booker's campaign, man. If we win Kentucky, we win everything, dog. We win everything. Go support Charles Booker's campaign. He comes on Crystal Kyle and Friends tonight. So sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends below. But Crystal and I also did an intro, and we talked a little bit about Abdul and Haley Stevens. And listen to this, man. So the Haley Stevens campaign sent out a fake press release pretending like they were Abdul. They put Abdul El Sayed's logo, okay? And in it, they make it look like Abdul is bragging and saying that Mike Rogers, their MAGA opponent, endorsed Abdul. Think about how ugly and dishonest and gross this is. This might literally be illegal. This is like fraudulent. This is like impersonation, okay? So the Haley Stevens campaign sends out a fake email pretending like it's from Abdul's campaign, and it says, endorsement alert, Mike Rogers endorses Abdul El Sayed in the Democratic U.S. Senate primary. And then they have a quote of Rogers in there. Quote, if he wins, I think we're in good shape. I think we'll do well if he, in fact, is the nominee. Now, what Haley Stevens is doing here is this thing called lying. Because if you look at the whole story, Mike Rogers was asked by his fucking donors, hey, do you fancy your chances against Abdul El Sayed? And he said, yes, I do. If he was asked about Haley Stevens, he would have said the same fucking shit, right? But Haley Stevens made it sound like he's saying like, oh no, for sure we can beat Abdul, but we can't beat Haley Stevens. It's a total fucking lie, completely fabricated story. But even if it was true, it reminds me of fucking Hillary Clinton in 2016 with the Pied Piper strategy, where they said, let's prop up Trump because we can definitely defeat Trump in the election, and that fucking backfired. Trump beat them. Shit, Hillary probably would have beaten Ted Cruz and didn't beat Donald Trump, right? So even if that was the case, it means nothing because Republicans are fucking idiots anyway. So whoever they want to run against because they think they have a better chance, what the fuck do they know? They don't know anything. They're the biggest fucking scoundrels in the country. So this is so gross in so many ways. And this is fucking, Haley Stevens going around playing the victim, acting like, oh, people are making fun of me in an unfair way, and this is disgusting. I'm being harassed, saying stuff like that. And then here she just comes out and basically commits fraud, does impersonation, lies relentlessly, every dirty trick under the sun, desperately trying to get across the finish line. Go vote for Abdul El Sayed if you're in Michigan. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You better fucking get the fuck out there, vote for Abdul El Sayed. We need to send a message. AIPAC is dumping colossal amounts of money into Haley Stevens' campaign. I'm talking about tens of millions, 40 or 50 million DZACs going right to Haley Stevens' campaign, and she has the nerve to go out there and pretend like she's representing the people. No, that would be Abdul El Sayed is representing the people. All right, let's talk about this as well. So there's another mysterious Epstein-related death, y'all. So a French model recruiter, I use that term loosely, Daniel CKED, whose name appears more than 2,000 times in the released Epstein files, and remember, only about 50% have been released. He was found dead at his home near Paris. So they say CKED arranged meetings between Epstein and young women for years and is also part of an ongoing criminal investigation in France into Epstein's ties to the modeling industry. Modeling industry. By the way, remember Trump had a modeling agency. Huh, interesting. He also ran Miss Teen USA, where he bragged about walking in on them naked in the dressing room. They say one Epstein victim described CKED as essentially a professional trafficker. So, another high-profile Epstein death. As we've told you, that Epstein network, y'all, is still active. That Epstein network is still active. That should fucking terrify you, okay? That should terrify you. And by the way, there were 10 co-conspirators. None of them have been arrested. I would reckon that Donald Trump is one of the co-conspirators. When they were doing the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation, they subpoenaed Mar-a-Lago because they thought it was the hub of the child sex trafficking. A lot of people don't know this or don't talk about this. The president is a blackmail pedophile and potentially a sex trafficker, a child sex trafficker as well. And he was in deep in this network with his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein. Just insane stuff. While we're talking about Epstein, allow me to point out that financial disclosures show that Susan Collins was taking checks from some of the men named in the Epstein files. Huh, would you look at that? So Troy Jackson is looking mighty good at the moment if Susan Collins is still taking Epstein money in the year of our Lord 2026. This is insanely disturbing here, but ICE has now violated civil rights on 1,200 documented occasions in just the past year. So the ACLU tracked this, 1,200 documented occasions of civil rights violations in just the past year. And honestly, that's the least of it. When we look at the murders they commit, when we look at the fucking, there's been grapes, there's been torture. It is just astonishing, the stuff that they've been able to get away with. Because as I keep telling you guys, they are a criminal syndicate. They are not actually a government agency. That's what we need to understand. Like, the whole purpose is the criminality. That's the whole purpose, is that. They are a paramilitary Gestapo there to do Trump's bidding. That's it. Like, the more criminal you are, the better. That's why this most recent ICE killer, everybody looked into his background and was shocked. They were floored. They're like, whoa, are you fucking kidding me? This guy assaulted his ex-wives, threw a pot of boiling water at his child, tried to commit suicide twice, had severe mental issues. When this guy told his ex-wife, I got hired to work for ICE, she literally thought it was a joke because she thought no way that this guy with this criminal history and this long track record of mental illness, that they'd hire him. Jesus Christ, bro. All right. Let me also give you this. On the voting rights front here, a federal court refused to block Tennessee's new congressional map that carves Memphis into 3 different districts and erases the state's only majority black seat. And the judges basically said, oh, look, this is not about race. It's about politics, so it's fine. So in other words, they're gerrymandering out more Democratic support. And it's the Republicans cheating because that's what the Republicans do. They cheat endlessly. They never stop fucking cheating. How about this one? So this is in New York Times. They say, after pardoning hundreds of allies over the course of his first 18 months back in the White House, Trump this month quietly rejected clemency applications from nearly 6,000 people who mostly lacked connections and had been waiting in a queue at the Justice Department. So go to Mar-a-Lago, pay him money, and he has a pay-to-pardon system set up. So if you're one of the worst criminals in the country, committed the most amount of fraud, nobody cares about your victims, you're free to go, right? But if you committed a nonviolent drug offense, for example, and you've been waiting to maybe get a pardon, Trump's not interested because you didn't pay him. 6,000 cases. If this wasn't exactly what the fuck it is, you would think Donald Trump would have at least pardoned, 10 of the 6,000 people who petitioned to get pardoned. But he did none of them. Why? Because all of his pardons now are pay-to-play corruption. All of them. You give him money at Mar-a-Lago, anywhere from like $500,000 to $6 million, depending on how severe the crime is, he will pardon you. It is absolutely astonishing. And everybody knows he's doing it, and nobody even talks about it. Everybody knows the president is being paid to release criminals, and nobody fucking talks about it. I don't even know if I've ever heard Democratic politicians fucking talk about it. It's insanity, bro. It's insanity. I'm losing my goddamn mind over here. I truly, truly am. Did you guys see that the man who killed the Democratic Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman was just sentenced to 2 life terms plus 40 years in prison? This is the guy that the entire right wing was on a lie fest about, where they tried to pretend that he was a Democrat because he had some like insignificant position in the Minnesota government that theoretically was picked by Governor Walz. But literally all of the information that came out about him proved he was a fundamentalist Christian Republican psychopath. And that's the reality is, as Evan says on Twitter, this is the highest profile political assassination in many years. But since it was committed by a right-winger, nobody's even talking about it. The guy is sentenced, nobody's even talking about it. Right? When Luigi gets his verdict in, you think there's going to be talk around that? I think there is. But this fucking hardcore MAGA Republican fundamentalist creep, he gets sentenced, his verdict is in, nobody says shit. Nobody says shit. Isn't it funny how it worked? It's almost like the game is rigged and the media is completely and utterly biased in favor of the right. It's either false equivalence bullshit 24/7 or it's just pro-MAGA horse shit. That's the bottom line. All right. So the CDC website has updated its autism and vaccines page to now say, quote, "The claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim. These people are just taking a cyclospora diarrhea shit on everything good about this country, on all the factual information that's out there. We are being run by junk science peddlers, bro. That's what it is. That's what's happening. Junk science peddlers are running HHS. RFK Jr. is a fucking scourge, okay? And it's these same people who've deregulated everything. No more clean water protection, no more clean air protection, roll back 117 environmental laws, deregulate deli meat. Now a bunch of people died from listeria and were fucking hospitalized. Now they're allowing coal ash to be dumped into our fresh water. They're allowing glyphosate to be used everywhere, which is going to end up giving us cancer at younger ages. The average age in this country is probably going to drop even more. Not just from, the drug crisis, but also now from the deregulation crisis. Because we don't have a government that does basic shit anymore. Look at the screwworm outbreak and the cyclospora outbreak. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Buckle up, because even a good Democratic president who wants to fix all this, 8 years isn't enough to even get us back to where we were before this shit. I'm not kidding about that. So now they're trying to imply vaccines cause autism on a fucking government website when there's no scientific, objective, empirical reason to think that's true. In fact, all the evidence is the opposite. It is not true at all. But they don't care. They don't care because they are junk science peddlers. That's what they are. They're fucking cranks. All right, let me also talk to you guys about this. So 2028 presidential primary poll just came out from McLaughlin. On the Democratic side, number 1 is Kamala Harris, by a lot, too. She's at 28% in a Democratic primary. Gavin Newsom's at 17%, so down 11 points from Kamala. So Kamala leading, Newsom number 2, AOC number 3 at 10%, Buttigieg number 4 at 8%. And then they have Kelly at 7%, Shapiro at 4%, and Pritzker at 3%. What's interesting is this one doesn't include Ossoff, and I feel like that's an oversight. Also, I don't see Ro Khanna here. I feel like that's an oversight as well. There's others who we kind of know are probably going to run. Looks like they're going to run, and they're not included. But in this polls, Harris, Newsom, AOC is the top 3. It goes 28%, 17%, 10%. Big lead for Kamala, man. And then on the Republican side, you have J.D. Vance at 35%, okay? Then you have Don Jr. at 16% and Rubio at 15%. So J.D. Vance with a massive lead on the Republican side, but Donald Trump Jr. in second place and Rubio in third place. And then everybody under that is way lower. Haley at 4%, DeSantis at 4%, Tulsi at 4%. Oh, my days. Tulsi Gabbard, what a sick fucking joke she's become. Holy shnikes, dog. What the fuck? And then finally, let me leave you with this. This is super important too. So we've been warning you on this channel about NSPM 7. And for those of you who don't know what NSPM 7 is, okay, it's basically a mindset change for the entire federal government. So like there was a time when, it was all systems go, all hands on deck to fight back against radical Islamic terrorism, against Al-Qaeda, against ISIS. During the Cold War, it was all hands on deck to fight back against the Soviet Union and the spread of communism, right? Well, now today, what Stephen Miller ushered in and what Donald Trump ushered in is this new NSPM7. And the idea behind it is we're going after liberals and leftists. We're going after dissent here at home. So it's a new McCarthyism. It's a new Red Scare. And they want to investigate you. They want to take away your rights. They want to go after you if you fall into the category of what they consider anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, if they consider you an extremist on migration, extremist on race, extremist on gender. These things, they look at that and they go, you're the enemy. And so this is why, for example, they're going after Act Blue, which is just a Democratic campaign payment processor. They're trying to criminalize that, okay? The SPLC, who's infiltrated and gone after the KKK, neo-Nazi groups, etc. They're now bringing bogus charges against the SPLC and pretending like they fund the Nazis and the fucking KKK. Okay? Then there's also like, you know, they're going after anti-ICE protesters. They're going after Antifa. They're going to try to like find Antifa under every rock, make a connection between any left-winger in the country and Antifa, and take down this massive network using like RICO charges and shit like that. They are going for it all, bro. They're going for it all. And so we've seen this 1,000 times. Zero Epstein arrests. But if you put your hand in the reflecting pool water, your ass got arrested. If you handed out pamphlets at an anti-ICE protest, your ass got arrested. And some of those people got decades in prison for handing out pamphlets at a fucking ICE protest. Okay? Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news. Breakthrough News. It's a left-wing news outlet. Breakthrough News with friend of the show, Ron Yakalik. Apparently, Republican lawmakers are now investigating Breakthrough News. This is what we're talking about. None of us are safe. They're going to come after everybody. They're going to muck up charges. If ICE hasn't taught you that, I don't know what will. There used to be 100% conviction rate for the feds in those sorts of cases. Now with this new Trump regime, it dropped to 50%. They're doing political charges against people. If an ICE agent attacks a person, they'll charge the person with assault. Then it gets to court and the judge looks at it and goes, what the fuck have you done? You locked this poor guy up for fucking weeks and he was the victim? Fuck you. They've had to berate ICE and say, stop bringing bullshit fucking charges here. The whole point is the intimidation. The whole point is to harass you if you're on the left. And that's exactly what the fuck this is. So, solidarity with Breakthrough News. Shout out to Ron Yakalik. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. They're going to come after anybody and everybody who's a liberal or a leftist. Most importantly, who's anti-war and anti-fascist. Okay? If you're actually anti-fascist, if you're actually anti-imperialist, they are going to come after these people with everything they have. Because effectively, understand this is the most important point. They are trying to criminalize dissent. That's what it is. They want to criminalize dissent. Don't get it twisted. It's nothing else. So, when you look at MAGA releasing a terrorism blacklist, and who was on that list? Hassan Piker, DSA, Zoran Mamdani was on that list. Amy Goodman and Democracy Now! Were on that list. This is in terrifying territory. Terrifying territory. You know, the fucking Red Scare of the past is coming roaring back, except these guys are potentially even more nefarious than the ones in the past, because they've already started multiple illegal wars. They've already destroyed the Constitution. So it is insane. Solidarity with Breakthrough News. The investigation into them needs to be fucking dropped immediately. But this is just the beginning, man. They're going to come after all of us. So that's all the updates I got for you guys today. You guys know the drill. Everybody click like, click subscribe, all that fun stuff. Support the show on Patreon if you're so inclined. This is real independent media. So thank you all for your support. And of course, go sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends, because we got an awesome episode dropping tonight. I love you all and I'll see you soon. Peace.